And the thing is that unlike with episode 8, we don't have a very easy Nagito library joke to just, like,
What do you mean?
use as a crutch.
Zanza is the key. Kill him and you will be free.
I mean, do I have any weapons to kill you? What do I have? Like, what's my arsenal? What's my loadout? What can I use to kill you? Anything?
That's a good question. Can things be used to kill me?
Actually, I know something that can kill you, but I also used it as the joke in the previous episode, so I don't know if I can do it again.
Kaito.
Yeah, kinda.
Nah, you have more than just that.
Well, well, I don't know, Snake. There's that one.
I've gained a resistance to that after being exposed to so much Shuichi.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's those two.
No, yeah, but I was thinking of more,
Mm-hmm.
You see? Hodo?
Oh, fuck. Well, now it doesn't work, because if you point it out, then you're gonna be ready for it.
Exactly.
But you know what you aren't.
I've
But you know what you
I've
aren't
got
ready
you.
for? Because I could do Nyao or I could do Kaito, or I could go Nyao.
Oh! You're finding ways through my strengths.
Yeah, I got him, boys. I'm the winner this time.
You're the winner.
Yeah.
You are a winner.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I got the prize. I don't know what the prize is. Wait, I know what the prize is. The prize is episode 9 of Game Library. Woo!
Oh, hey.
Joke.
Howdy.
Welcome.
Greetings,
Sup.
etc.
This is just gonna be going on for circles, isn't it?
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Guten Tag.
Greetings.
Bonjour. Hola.
Bottom text. God damn it.
Anyway, so with that out of the way, welcome to episode 9 of Game Library, where the three of us fucks, otherwise known as gamers, go and talk
No, not again.
talk about video games, video game news, specific
Video game
games.
accessories.
Yeah, and video game accessories, for usually around 2 to 3 hours. So hey,
Yeah. Uh-huh. Welcome. I am
yeah.
I am the Zanza.
Yeah. Who's that other person in the call?
I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm Patronix or Austin, whichever you prefer. But there still is that other person.
Yeah. We don't know who she's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just appear sometimes.
But like, if you were to have a name, what do you think it would be?
Snowball, probably. I don't know.
Okay,
Shit.
anyway, what's
I'm making a bad joke. My point is, hello.
Okay.
yeah?
Welcome.
Hey,
Mm.
howdy, bonjour, guten tag again.
We're not doing this again. Okay.
Yes, we are. We're doing it now.
No, we're not doing this.
Yeah. So usually we'd have some sort of weird transition joke or something to go into it, but this time I don't really have one yet. So,
Austin, are you off your game?
I mean, listen, man. Here's the thing.
Maybe you should
How
get
am
your
I
game
supposed to
on.
have a transition when it's Zanza's Indie Game Corner? It belongs to you!
Whoa! This world belongs to me, Zanza?
Whoa!
Oh man. Oh man. Oh jeez. Oh man.
Oh, man.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Oh,
we should
jeez.
probably say first that we spend the first half of the podcast talking about news and the second
Yeah.
talking about the video game that was suggested. But yeah, I guess we can get into my indie
This-
game corner because there are a lot of indie games that I love, and I just need to get them all
Mhm.
out there, So this
Mhm.
is probably the best way to do it.
Indeed.
And there was Nindies recently, so a bunch of good stuff happened, and then two very, very, very special Good Boy games came out today as well, or not today,
Indeed.
but these past 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So we should go over that. First, have any of you seen Cyber Shadow?
Nope.
I think that I saw one little thing where you posted a trailer for it, but that's it. I think.
Maybe. No, I posted that of a different game.
I guess that I'm just a hack. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, to be honest, they're both kind of similar, but Cyber Shadow is the next game made by Yacht Club Games, who made Shovel Knight.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like more of a Ninja Gaiden kind of thing,
Oh boy.
but like unlike a lot of games that try to go, oh yeah, we're like doing the 8-bit thing, but it's Ninja Gaiden this time. It seems more like they're making it more of a straight platformer like Ninja Gaiden instead of trying to do like really weird ninja mechanics, which I
Yeah.
love those, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested, but for some reason I'm not like as jazzed as I would be in some other games. The pixel art looks really nice, the music is nice,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'm worried that it's going to be too similar to that kind of Shovel Knight-like game, maybe a little bit faster, but like
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to see. Again,
Yeah.
Yacht Club Games is pretty they're pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good
Pretty
value-wise
good.
at the
Uh-huh.
very least.
Yep.
So,
And ninjas
I
are
don't know.
cool, I guess. So hey.
Yeah, ninjas are pretty cool. After that, we have Katana Zero. It was announced
Maybe
along
that
with
was the game
Nindies.
that I saw.
Yeah, no, that was the game that you saw.
I
Pretty
still
sure.
don't know.
Well, I mean, it's
Then
cool,
explain
and
it.
yeah. One sec. So it's kind of like this. Actually, while I talk, I can literally just send you the trailer, and you can sit there and silently and
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to turn down the
suffer.
volume, but
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
can sit here awkwardly.
Uh-huh. But
Watching.
basically, it's a kind of. It's kind of like it seems like the Hotline Miami gunpoint kind of game in which it's built around really hard challenges with like pretty simple mechanics where you like die in one hit, and the point of the game is to just like master it.
Yeah.
Which usually I feel those games tend to be better on average just because you have to, you have to have some kind of level of understanding of the mechanics in order to make the game even functional in the first place, which generally means that you don't get games where people just throw random stuff to the walls and build it together.
Mm-hmm.
And then look-wise, it has like a really nice pixel art, like ninja cyber aesthetic, cyberpunk aesthetic, which I know a lot of people are sick of, but it's got like neon colors and stuff, which is my thing.
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer right now, and kind of like what you're saying. Like on one hand, it's like, oh boy, another indie game using the pixel look, but at the same time, this looks really good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I always think the pixel art thing depends. I know for a fact that this kind of lighting and everything, like that kind of neon lighting, is probably something people are starting to get sick of.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. The game looks really interesting. You've got like weird dash jump like combo things going on where you have to like find ways to clear rooms really fast. So it might. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it looks like it's more action based than something like Hotline Miami, which is just as much about strategy. And Gunpoint, which is basically not Gunpoint. What is it? Deadbolt, which is basically just strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. That game looks super interesting, and usually that kind of game is a safe bet on being good. That kind of style of game. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily it's like a safe bet on it being good, but like this particular one looks good, so
I don't know. I think usually
it seems like a quality product.
Usually those kind of you die in one hit, the mechanics are simple and you just have to like master how to use them. Those games generally are well just because the developer has to know what they're doing to even make the game in the first place. And then after that, the big thing, Risk of Rain 2, created by Hopu Games, came out, and I want to preface something. Hopu Games are like my role models. Like, I found their first game when it was like in its early like free beta that only had like the first 2 levels. Back when I was a bab, and they're basically the reason why I'm aspiring into going into the career of game development, and they even like lived near where I lived and everything, and so I have this weird connection with them. And also the fact that every game they've made is golden, and I feel like with Risk of Rain 2, now that they finally have like a decent collection of things they've released now, I can officially say, after Monolith Soft completely tanked in the past few years, I can officially say Hopu Games is my favorite. They're my favorite game developers, just in general.
And also, Risk of Rain 2 may be in early access, but it's still really good.
Yeah, Jesus. Like, the weird thing is that, like, the idea is that Risk of Rain 1 was like a 2D platformer, roguelike kind of game with like skills and stuff like that.
Character based mostly.
Character based. There was a lot of item gaining and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's insane how they were able to turn that into like 3D. You know, like normally.
Let alone so successfully.
I know. Like,
That's
look
the
at
big thing. They did it very well.
yeah, like look at Sonic the Hedgehog. They still haven't gotten it. That was music to my ears. But anyway,
All suffering is music to your ears. Shut it.
yeah, I know, but that's besides the point. The point is that the game is fun. Wait, I can't say that anymore. He's gone.
Oh man,
Reggie.
well,
But
actually, I think this is his last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
Now that
Yeah. Well, by
It's
the time
epic.
by the time this episode gets out, he'll be gone. But you know.
Oh, that's sad.
Can
Yeah.
he not cease being resigned? Or
I mean, I don't know. We went over this last episode.
on, man.
but-
Yeah.
we did, but you know.
I'm gonna miss
Sylvia
Yeah.
Sylvia is still recuperating from the shock.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I will-
Reggie's been dead for 20 years, Sylvia. You have to
You
I
have
have
to
to
move on.
move on. I have to wake up.
Yeah, the
Wake
Reginator.
up.
The Reginator was scrapped years ago.
Uh-huh. But point is, Risk of Rain 2 is really good. I'm glad that they've one of the things that I really like about the first game was the fact that, and I think this has inspired a lot of, like, you know, if you see any of the anime campaign stuff we do on Austin's Twitch channel,
Hey.
yeah, him in the back.
Yeah.
Hit him.
He does like Risk of Rain 1 has a lot of really creative ways that they make characters, to the point where I'd say pretty much all of them play and feel entirely different, which is, compare that to so many other games with like class systems in which they just kind of throw something together. Like, look at Overwatch. I feel like a lot of the characters feel very similar.
An important note, there are around 10 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
There were
10?
12 by
Eight?
the end, because it started with
yeah.
10, then they released another 2 as an update.
When it comes to Overwatch, I'd argue that like some of them fulfill similar archetypes, but I'd say that like for the most part, most of them feel different enough from each other.
I don't.
Well,
Okay.
Maybe it's
you know.
because, again, I've been spoiled by Risk of Rain, in which they all feel really
Yeah,
different.
maybe, I mean, like, it's not like a complete system overhaul or anything like that, but like the thing, like, they have like a baseline kind of thing that a lot of the characters like fulfill. But I mean, as someone who was playing Overwatch since it came out, and I mean, I haven't played it in a very long time, but like was playing it for very consistently for like at least the first year that it was completely out, and probably a lot longer than that too. I would say that the characters definitely feel different enough, but hey, that's just my opinion. But you know,
Delete. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have like a massive burning internal hatred for Overwatch. But
man.
I don't know. I feel like the characters don't, despite the fact that they really, really try, I don't think they feel that different. Like, and I think that's something that their first Risk of Rain did really well, and they managed to create a lot of really, really interesting things, except the Enforcer. So in this
I
game,
like the Enforcer. Shut it.
well, I'm sorry that you're wrong, Sylvia.
Oh man.
Why are you so
Maybe you
negative?
should step into my house for some therapy.
Oh, jeez. First I get ragged on for my like of the Sonic franchise. Now I'm getting ragged on for how I used to play Overwatch and I liked it. Oh man, what's next? What am I gonna get ragged on next, guys? Like and comment in the description.
I don't know. I mean,
And
I'm not
the
ragging on
description.
you. I'm just saying I don't like Overwatch.
Yeah, I know. I get you. I'm
And
just
besides,
memeing.
I used to like it for a while, but you know that's a whole other story. Maybe in another episode I can
Maybe.
go on my hour-long Overwatch rant. But
Mhm.
point is, I feel like the way they just. I feel like Hopu Games are just amazing game developers in general, and especially when it comes to their design and like that kind of the way that they made classes in the first Risk of Rain has influenced me a lot in how like I think about similar things like that, and like it's crazy to see a lot of that like done again in Risk of Rain 2 because there are a bunch of returning characters, but they change them all in ways so that they can work for 3D, which is it's like a big deal because I'd almost even argue Risk of Rain 1 tended to act more like a 1D game with multiple layers than a 2D game. So like, I don't know. It's just, I just love them. They're good game developers. We should give them more money.
Oh boy.
And luckily, Risk of Rain 2 actually seems to have been fairly successful. Their other games have all been cult classics, but this one seems to actually be getting like actual like big success.
Mainstream medium attention.
Exactly. And I know that like almost everyone I talk to except Austin because he's this big smelly has like played the game and really likes it, and I'm so glad that it's getting widespread attention. And it's only in early access and it's already really good. And
That's your question. What you're being ragged on next? That's the answer.
Yeah.
But my point is,
Dude,
buy that.
I did it.
And Sylvia, do you have anything else to say about it?
Good.
Yeah. But why is there a risk of rain? Is the weather really stormy outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Problem solved.
There we go. Question answered. Move on. Next. Move on. Next game. Next topic. Feed me more.
This is why I have an indie game corner, because as much as I want to talk about it, I know Austin's just sitting in there, like, the fuck?
Well, it's not like it's.
What is
it's
an
not
indie
that
game and
it's
how
not
do I
that
do it?
It's not that I don't care about indie games, and I've played indie games. It's just that they're not on my radar as much as other shit.
Well, Cock's going to let this. Sorry.
Oh,
Be
man.
gone. Thought.
Oh man, I thought that was like part of the reason why we started this podcast, so we can introduce ourselves to stuff that we don't usually do. But
I mean, yeah, it's almost like it's almost like that what I did with this episode.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, point is, last thing, Enter the Gungeon got a new update, and funnily enough, I think in the first game library we briefly talked about an Enter the Gungeon update.
I think we did.
Hey.
Yeah, we did. And so.
And I
they
still
did the
haven't
next
played
one.
it.
Well, maybe that's going to change.
Oh,
Yeah, it
man.
could totally change. I mean,
Oh.
Sylvia is suggesting the next game, so we don't know.
Oh.
Although then it would be another game in which only Austin is the one who has to play it because I've already done it.
No. I have a very certain idea.
Okay.
But anyway.
I can't wait to play Garfield Kart.
No.
I'm still crossing my fingers.
Yeah, me too.
One
One
day.
day, one day it'll happen.
Maybe for April Fools.
For April Fool's next
Well,
year.
well, we missed it. Yeah, we missed
Yeah,
April
Damn
Fool's.
it!
we missed
No.
Hey, maybe this is why we need to do these more.
This is so sad.
Well,
Alexa played
it's not
Despacito.
like it's really been much of our control over the past while.
Yeah. Anyway, point is, enter the Gungeon.
Yes.
Got an update. It's the last update. It's called Farewell to Arms. They added 2 new characters. One of them is the Paradox, and they're basically
Well, real quick, I guess spoilers if you care about Enter the
Yeah.
Gungeon
Yeah,
lore.
I mean, I too was
yeah.
very sad when ARMS was no longer a big mainstay Switch title, but you know.
I know. How could they get rid of him like
Come
that?
on, Springman's such a precious. Look at this protagonist right here.
Yeah, he never says die. That's
He
his
never
thing.
says die, and he goes boing boing boing, and
Yeah.
spring-a-ling. And then there's Dr.
He has
Coyle,
a
who I want to step
pompadour.
on me.
We all know this, Austin. You don't even need to say it.
Anyway.
The joke's been done to death. Calm yourself.
The point is, they added 2 new characters. They added one who's basically like, in The Binding of Isaac, there's Eden, and his whole thing is that like you have to pay a currency you get from actually finishing runs in order to play him, but he starts with random items so that it's like a new experience every time you play him. Well, they added Paradox, who's that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's that for this game, and then they added another character called the Gunslinger, who is
He's broken.
Yeah, he's mega super broken.
Hold up. You're telling me that there was a game called Enter the Gungeon, and only just now that they add a class called a Gunslinger?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I know, it's weird. But he's important to the gun lore, and his basic weapon is that instead of reloading a gun, he throws it, and then he picks another because he just has a bunch of guns on him.
Well, I love that.
To be honest, Austin, Enter the Gungeon, I don't really think roguelikes are quite your style, but the humor is you. It's just you.
Yeah, it really is.
It would be a game, I don't know if it's a game you would necessarily like to play, but you would definitely get a chuckle out of it.
There is a gun called the lowercase r, and every time you fire, it says
Yeah, and it just fires
and
the
shoots.
letters for bullet, and a text-to-speech goes, bullet. Every time you press it.
Oh no, I'd die if I played that game.
Yeah.
I'd die.
And when you reload, the reload animation is that you delete the letter R and you type another one.
Well, okay, I like that one, but what I would have totally loved is if the reload animation's a quick AOL like screech noise loading screen.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
But Gunslinger's mega broken because his whole thing is that he gets all synergies without all item synergies without needing to have the other item a part of it.
Specifically gun synergies.
Oh yeah, it is.
I can tell.
Yeah, well of course it's I mean it's Enter the Gungeon.
You're right.
But yeah, and then they added a handful of new items, and then they added another weird bonus mode that people are gonna play once for the unlock and then never forget about.
No, there was an unlock.
What?
Nothing.
I mean, I wouldn't know, I just assume, because that's what it always feels like they add the bonus modes for. But point is, new character that will add more replayability, and then, there's big Gungeon lore if you beat the game as the Gunslinger.
Indeed.
So...
Biggie Gungeon lore.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think Gungeon, for me, I think I also kind of elaborated on this in the first episode, but at first I really hated it because it always seemed so strict about everything because consumable drop chances were so low and the game required you to play so perfectly that it just stopped being fun. But they've definitely
They've loosened it a lot.
Yeah. They've toned that down, and they've also made it so that, you get more guns in Gungeon more often, which,
Weird thing, we know.
I'd hope so, So, the gun's also, the game's also more fun. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the last update. Dodge Roll Games, or Dodge Roll Studio, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves, they're off to make a new game.
Oh boy.
I
guess they're leaving the Gungeon now.
Well, they're saying farewell to ARMS.
Yeah, I miss ARMS. Why can't Nintendo just hey, I know it didn't sell well, but come on, we really believe in this property.
We're gonna make it for the
ARMS
game, not
2.
for the money.
ARMS 2. Now you have 2 arms as opposed to 1. And that means it's double the fun.
One entire arm.
Yeah.
Come on, we don't need another Nintendo drought.
Why did we make a game called ARMS where you only have one arm?
We don't need another Nintendo.
Whoa, it's just fine. It's been 20 years. Here's Splatoon. Wait, people like our new IP? Okay.
Yeah, it's
make one more.
Yeah.
And then no one liked it, and they're sealing the doors shut again.
Yeah, like Pikmin happened, and then a bajillion years passed. Splatoon happened. Wow, wait, people like new things. Let's make Arms. Oh wait, Arms underperformed how we wanted to how we want it to. Well, into the vault our ideas go. Anyway.
Rest in peace. I can't believe they didn't put Springman in Smash.
I mean, he's an assist trophy, but
Well,
yeah.
I guess that means they put Shadow in Smash and you can't cry about it.
I wanted Springman, but you know,
I did too.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, specifically, I wanted the Enigma Goo guy, because,
yeah.
I don't know.
Helix.
Yeah, he had wacky arms.
He did have I mean, technically they all had wacky arms. You know.
Anyway, this is not a discussion about arms.
I mean,
Delete
it can
yourself.
be. Why can't
But
we talk about Arms? Come on.
I, for
Isn't
one,
that
am
game totally
excited about
relevant?
I'm excited for the
game's really
Merkava
important.
DLC for ARM.
Yeah.
It's a really important cultural milestone for us
Yeah,
gamers.
exactly. Like, come on. Like, why talk about gaming news or the game of the week when every week can just be Arms? And we'll talk about the consistently evolving Arms meta.
Yeah, this is now Arms Library.
Yeah, Arms library, exactly.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, 3 people that were watching.
Yeah. Now now we exclusively talk with spring puns.
Indeed.
Boing.
Boing.
Anyway,
No.
Austin, you
Spring
don't
into
want to
the
hurry up.
Action.
Are you sure you don't want to hurry up
Wait.
to hear that one thing?
Listen, I'm just going. I'm trying to be comedic relief right now. We can move on.
Oh man, fuck. Okay, but hear me out.
Uh-huh.
Torso
Torso.
instead of arms.
Yeah.
It's torso.
It's like torso.
You fire your torso at people.
Yeah, you pelvic thrust.
No, not even that. It's like your whole torso.
Oh, just the whole torso.
Yeah, it just goes out and then it comes back.
Man, I really like that idea. I can't wait till they
Yeah.
include what I'm trying to think of like a character that'd be funny for torso. Like a guy whose like torso is a bull and then the bull rushes out and it's like the matador. Or maybe like someone whose torso is a gong. And they're like big and bulky. They're like the heavy character of the game. They're like the master mummy of torso. And then there's like
I think that we should move on by going from gongs to guns.
Listen, you say this. I'm already drafting the game design document, so we're gonna pitch this to Nintendo, and we're gonna be rich.
yeah. Hey Nintendo, you know that IP you tried to start up but didn't like anymore.
We got a way to fix it.
Guys.
Arms was too complicated. Remove arms. We just need torsos.
Yeah.
You can the way you play is you tape your Joy-Con to your chest and then you wiggle around.
Yeah.
They'll come up with a new
Next
peripheral.
topic, please.
They'll come up with a new
Okay,
peripheral.
fine.
It's like a harness.
Please.
Fine. Next topic is it's Borderlands 3.
Don't you mean Epic Borderlands 3 on the Epic's Epic Fortnite Epic Store? Epic?
I was getting to that. You.
Fake.
But yeah, Borderlands 3 is announced. I'm really upset because of the box art and just the box art, because in the first game I got a finger gun to his head, and then in the second game he has 2, and I was really hoping for third arm no jutsu or something, but now he's just Jesus. I think that's the box art.
I don't know. I'd seen it. I don't really remember. It looked kind of like a religious, religious as it can be. It looked like he's like an angel or some Jesus type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He had like a grenade for a heart.
Wow, that's cool.
I know. I wish I had one too, but
Talk about a heart attack.
nah. Don't become Shuichi
Or a
again.
heart palpitation. Anyway.
Point is, Borderlands 3 is on the Epic Games Store
Yeah.
exclusively for 6 months. What do y'all think about that?
I mean, it's great that Fortnite has a younger brother, except not actually, and Fortnite needs to die, and so does Epic Games, and Borderlands needs to be a real thing. Not that I've ever played any Borderlands games, I just know people do care about the franchise, and if people actually care about a franchise, it should not be on the Epic Games Store.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Like, the whole issue is that, like, I would be fine if Epic Games Store was, like, getting where it is because they provided, like, services and stuff that made people...
And actual features.
Yeah, and actual features that made people want to go to Epic Games instead of Steam. But no, they're just like taking a small fraction of their Fortnite money that, you know, they have an infinite surplus of, and then using it to, like, pay off indie devs who need, like, the slightest confirmation of money in order to, you know, make it so that they don't die of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And then they give it to AAA companies who, like, you know, don't actually understand how video games work because, you know, all the higher ups haven't played them in at least 20 years, and they just think, "Oh, cool, free money," and so it sucks.
So what I'm kind of curious about is how much do you think this Epic Games thing is going to impact the sales of the game? Do you think it's actually going to help? Do you think it's going to hinder? What do you think? Because I know people, because I know that people, like, hate that it's on Epic Games Store, but that doesn't mean that people still won't get it. So, like,
well, the thing is, the meme that is getting to gain traction. The thing is, if the meme gains traction, then it will probably become true because that's how the world works. We are shaped by memes. We all know this.
Uh-huh.
The meme is that if you put something on the Epic Games Store, you're actually just putting it onto the Pirates Bay. That's the meme.
I see.
So pretty much everyone is just gonna, like, start pirating those games, which sucks because I didn't put this in the indie game corner because we forgot. But the guy who made Hyper Light Drifter is also making a new game, and it's like, oh, cool, you know. But then it's Epic Games exclusive, and it's like, I feel so conflicted.
Har har.
Yeah, because it's like I love this game developer and I want to support them, but I don't.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, it's like, you know, Hyper Light Drifter guy, Borderlands, you know, put their new games on there, and then slowly but surely from the distance you hear Gangplank Galleon starting up, and then, like, you know.
Yeah, the people who made, like, Bastion, Supergiant Games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, they made a new game called Hades.
Oh,
which is
right, I was so fucking excited for that one.
Yeah, no, it looked like this really cool, like, action brawler, like, top-down game, but it was more action-based.
Yeah.
And then, Epic Games exclusive, have you heard anyone mention it? Think about all of the press that every other Supergiant Games has gotten when it releases. Like, they don't, like, get massive, but, like, they become cult classics.
Yeah, the thing is, I've heard of Bastion before, and I've heard of it.
And Transistor.
Yeah, I've heard these names before.
Yeah.
I've never played them, but I know what they are.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
but have you heard anyone refer to Hades recently?
Not recently, no.
Not really.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. But now I forgot about it, but now that you mention it, I remember that I was excited for it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. It's terrible. It's like, you see, this is an example of what is going to happen, especially for indie devs, because, like, Borderlands 3 can almost get away with it. When Borderlands 3 says we're Epic Games exclusive, a lot of people are going to be paying attention, and quite a few people are either going to pirate the game, or they're going to wait, or they're going to go to the Epic Games Store. But indie games, you know, like, they already need to try really hard to even get an initial audience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if they do this, then they're just fucked. The game's just not going to sell.
Yeah, that's God. Like, do you think that, like, after that, because I know Borderlands has the whole thing where, like, for 6 months it's Epic Games exclusive. Do you think that any of these indie games are going to have the same treatment?
I'm pretty sure they're all timed exclusives, but the thing is, once you get past the initial release and rush of, this is available, people are going to be way less interested.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, if people were shown at E3 Hades, and, you know, there were people, I know you were excited for it, and then immediately afterwards they're like, boom, get it now on Steam. Like, people would have rushed to buy it. But if they were told, oh yeah, it's on Steam now, like, now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that nearly
Yeah.
as many people are going to be interested.
Yeah.
And that's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, because like, I mean, like, obviously this is like a big main thing, and of course this is the thing that comes to mind when it comes to like console exclusives. I mean, outside of like other ones that are like that, but like when I think of recently, because like there was this whole period of time where like from Sonic Colors through like Sonic Boom, I think it was Sonic Boom, or like one of the Mario and Sonics was the last one of this, where like Sega and Sonic Team had an exclusive partnership with Nintendo where all of the Sonic games would be like exclusive to Nintendo consoles for a few years. And as soon as that deal ran out, Sonic Colors and Lost World were ported to Steam. Like immediately.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably what's gonna happen. They're probably, because like, I don't think it's been 6 months since Hades was announced. Yeah, it wasn't E3. It was Was it announced at E3 or was it announced at the Game Awards?
I think it was Game Awards, because I'm pretty sure it was Game Awards, mainly because I specifically remember like with ETH. Or I can't remember. I think it was Game Awards though. Like I hearing that sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right. In that case, then Hades might actually get ported to Steam relatively soon, because that's close to almost 6 months away. And I have a feeling that the 6 months is probably like how long the time's exclusive.
So wait, the game is out?
Hades, yeah, it was out at the same time it was announced at the thing.
Well, fuck, yeah, I didn't even...
Yeah, I know, because of this!
Yeah.
Because the Epic game is...
Yeah, and same with, like, there was
under
this other game
beforehand.
called Ashen that was kind of like, it was like this first attempt at, like, kind of like a weird, almost indie Dark Souls thing, like, take the same, like, structure of Dark Souls, but, like, try to make it by an indie company, and it was, like, supposed to be open world and everything, and, yeah, Epic Games exclusive. Like, I was I even had it on my wish list and was like ready to buy it, and then it was announced during the Game Awards. Out now, Epic's Games exclusive, and then I just lost interest. And no one else, even though that was like a thing that a lot of people, especially like fans of the Souls games, a lot of people were excited for, and it's just gone now because people have moved on to the next thing.
Yeah. Well, fuck.
Yeah, the timed exclusives, you just can't have that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I totally get that, and I know that something like the whole Sonic situation I mentioned earlier has its own staying power because, you know, Sonic. But, like, the thing is that really fucking sucks, but, like, depending on the game, maybe it could get a big resurgence if they make a big deal out of the port or something. But, it depends. I mean, most likely it's kind of what we're saying, where it's basically a death sentence.
Yeah, and the thing is, because, like, in my mind, I have a feeling that it was really just a draw of a lot of indie devs who are desperate for any guarantee of profit, you know, and then AAA devs who, you know, I guess not devs, but, like, the publishers who don't really play video games and just kind of make decisions off, oh, this is free money, I mean, you know, we were guaranteed to sell or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that after this, as long as devs haven't, like, already signed a contract, I think they're just going to stop doing it.
I hope so.
Epic Games, because partly because of the extreme backlash out of it. What even? Oh,
Backlash. It's a fun word to say, though.
Don't. My boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically what I think about it, and it's real sad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as and call it industry terrorism as some people have, but it is definitely a really greedy, manipulative business strategy by Epic Games.
One could say it's an epic fail.
Yeah. I mean, because
cease.
Because, like, you know, the issue is Epic Games can do it for basically no real risk and a potential profit. Like, so they can drag down all of these potentially really good games into obscurity for a few bucks, and that's basically what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Although, I am certain most people have gotten wise to it, so... I doubt it's gonna happen again.
I hope not.
Mm-hmm. So anyway.
But who knows? The world is a mysterious and wonderful place to be.
It sure is.
Mostly,
It's me,
mostly
Mickey.
the
I'm
first.
gonna take over the Epic Game Store.
Yep.
Now I own
That would be
Borderlands.
terrifying. For multiple reasons.
I'm gonna own everything.
Yeah.
First I own Fox, then I own Chunky's Soul. Now I'm gonna own Epic Games.
Yeah, he's just gonna expand until he gains all the universe. I mean, wait a second.
Wait.
If he killed Chunky, what if he also killed the people running Epic Games, and now he has control?
Wait. Is Mickey Mouse killing all the bees? Is he killing all the bees? We don't know why, but he's killing all the bees. He can float through the air and climb up trees, but Mickey Mouse is a murderer of bees.
Oh my God! Wait a second. No wonder we felt such malice. Is the mouse secretly related to Chunky Kong?
Oh man. Oh geez.
What the hell is this
man.
conversation
Oh
evolved
man.
into?
Oh geez.
You know, everyone who doesn't get this meme is so confused right now. This is a podcast that people will like.
So can we go on to the next subject?
Yeah, I thought you
please?
were interested in
I
this
was
next...
because I have no idea what it is.
Okay, well, it's a little bit of a lie because it's something really small, but basically, Suda51 in an interview recently confirmed that not just a game of his, but specifically a Travis touchdown related game of his has big news at E3 this year. I wonder what that could mean.
Well, there are literally two possibilities. One, the one we're expecting, No More Heroes 3. Or...
Travis Strikes Again
Strikes
2!
Down to that.
Oh, no.
We get a second one.
I don't want another one.
You know, there's
Ladies and
Bad
gentlemen,
Man.
we got him.
No.
There's Bad Dad. You know, he's a character.
Yeah, we'll have
One
Bad
that's-
Grandpa. Wait,
I
that's a
was gonna
movie
say-
by that's a movie by the Jackass guys, isn't it?
Yeah, I
probably
thought we
can't
were
do
just
that.
gonna get Destroy Grandpa.
Oh, yeah, Destroy Dad or Destroy Grandpa. And
To be honest, I'd be perfectly
yeah.
okay with that.
And then we get to revive Destroy Man as a dog this time. Yay. Except there's two of them because of shit. Anyway, okay, but yeah, hey, I mean, I would be super excited if it's No More Heroes 3, but I mean, there's also Smash Brothers. There's also Smash Brothers. You know, there's also Smash Brothers.
It could be
it
Smash
can become
Brothers.
a Travis-related game if you believe.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Anyway,
No, what if it's just Danganronpa V4, but they have Travis as one of the characters?
No. Hold on. We're missing the big picture here. He's in Torso.
Oh my God! He's in Torso. He tapes the beam katana to him.
Yeah. He tapes the beam katana to his torso and he pelvic thrust. It's a new way of recharging it. Literally. Oh god.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
fit with the game, to be honest. We
I
might
mean,
have cracked
yeah.
the code.
Maybe. Perhaps we did.
Perhaps, in one life.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, hey. I don't know, man. I don't know.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I
Yeah.
wanted to be vague about it because I know you'd be like,
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly did not hear that before, and I'm surprised that I didn't because I'm me, but like, yeah.
yeah.
you are the man when it comes to this stuff, mate.
Oh boy. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's I guess that. That was a really quick segment. Anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that real fast.
That's fine. Then what's up next on our little listy here? Oh yeah, this one. Well, here's the thing. Well, all right. Should we talk about this one, or should we announce that we're going to talk about this one?
I don't know.
Oh man, wait. Please tell me you get my joke.
Fuck off! I just got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Persona 5 The Royal was announced for its announcement.
Yeah, Atlus has been doing this a lot recently, where I think it's been like 3 or 4 layers of announcing announcements at this point for P5R specifically, and like, because like first they announced—
We get it!
Yeah.
You're gonna say something!
Yeah, because they announced that P5R is a thing, then they announced that information would be revealed at the end of the one OVA, then at the end of the OVA, they revealed that information would be announced at this one date, and then on that one date, they announced that information would be revealed at another date.
And that's where we are now.
Yeah.
But we know the name, and we know
We can't escape!
We know that there's a girl
the
in it.
back of one character.
Yeah, we know there's a new girl in it. That's all we know.
Uh-huh.
Can't escape!
The best part too is that all of the Persona 5 like English cast voice actors are like, when they like, I don't know if they've been doing it over the past recent like couple days or whatever, but like when the P5R stuff was like getting announced about being announced and shit, like they were being super coy, like even we don't know what the fuck this is. Like
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, they probably haven't even been called in to record.
yeah, I mean considering PQ2. Yeah, no. Talk about a way to destroy hype in a game, but you know,
I know.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm like personally kind of against releasing these massive JRPGs and then like 2 or 3 years later releasing the better version of the same thing that just has
Yeah.
more,
Oh,
like 2
yeah.
more social links.
Yeah, no, the thing is that, like, here's the thing. I agree with you in the sense, especially when it comes to P5R in this case. Because, like, for one, this is the first time I've experienced, like, the Persona cycle where this is happening to me in real time, as opposed to, like, me getting into Persona and Golden for 4 is already out, and all of the 3s are already out and stuff, too. So, for one, I'm experiencing it firsthand this time again. And, well, this time. And then, secondly, like, when it comes to, like, Persona 4 versus Persona 4 Golden, you can make, like, the argument, like, hey, it's bringing it to a portable system for the first time. It's, like, a new voice cast. Well, at least some new members of a voice cast. They're adding, like, some more quality of life changes overall, along with the social links. Like, I'm not saying that, like, it was 100% necessary, but I would argue that Persona 4 Golden isn't, like, super egregious for, like, all of yeah. I mean, like, because, like, if they ported Persona 5 to the PS Vita, then I don't think people would be feeling quite the same way. Because, again, I feel like it's, you know, it's porting it to a different system, and it was a significant amount of time. It was almost, like, what, 5 to 6 years after the original? Whereas with this one, it's, like, barely 3.
Yeah.
So it's
I
different.
don't know.
I'd argue
like,
that this one is different, but...
Well, I don't know. It's just, especially with these really massive JRPGs, it's like one of those things in which you're expecting you know, someone who's getting into it is paying $60 for a massive experience, and they're playing it, you know, possibly for a really long time, depending on their schedule. Cough, cough. I haven't finished Persona 5 yet, but, you know, and they're doing this. Fuck, I completely lost my train of thought because of that joke. What was I saying?
You were saying that, like, big RPG...
Right. You know, like, when you release, as a $60 game, these massive, like, AAA JRPGs, you know, they get a lot of, like, press and stuff. And then, like, a few years later, you release another one, and not only are you expecting people to pay full price again, but then you're also expecting them to play through this entire massive game again for, like, two new social links, and like some new voice acting and small gameplay tweaks that like are minor.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, to be fair, we don't really know everything about what P5R is. We're assuming it's like the big remake, but like realistically, we don't know. For all we know, it could be a giant expansion to the Persona 5, like as a DLC thing that's already there. For all we know.
You know, if they did that, then I'd be okay.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
Because
Knowing
it's
Atlus, it's probably an entire re-release of 5. But the thing is that we don't know for sure, so it's a bit hard to judge, seeing as how they keep announcing their announcements. But like we don't know exactly like what is going on with it, and I don't blame you for being pessimistic, especially because I'm also pessimistic about what it's going to be. But, like, maybe they could charge a lower price for it or something, or, like, maybe it's I don't know, like maybe there's something about it that's like that's different. I don't know. Like
you see, I'm partially saying this just to get Sylvia mad, but
Oh boy.
I think the best example of this has been in Persona 3 with FES, because that was like an updated version of the game, but they added, like, the main thing they added wasn't, oh yeah, we sprinkled some more content like at the halfway point that's super minor that you have to play the whole game for again, and then you got to do that to get the super duper true ending that isn't canon technically, or
but
whatever.
It's the really true one, Zanza.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the golden ending's actually the canon one at this point.
Oh well, I wouldn't know, because like it's so weird.
Yeah.
But point is, instead of doing that, they add a separate game mode on the start screen. So if you want, you could just get Persona 3 and then just play the answer, which is the extra content that they added.
Yeah, no, like I feel like that would definitely be a smart way to do it. I will agree in that sense. Plus FES added the thing. I'm pretty sure that's the one where they made it so you can control your party members. So
no, it wasn't that one.
Oh wait, no, yeah, it was portable. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the big trade-off.
Also, portable added, like, basically almost all, if not all, of the social links are different. So, and it's on a portable system. So, like, you know, I also consider that one a good example of this kind of thing. Because it's a sizable content change. You know?
No, I get you. I totally get you. It's just that, like,
I
don't think that, like, Golden is like that egregious because of what I explained before, but depending on how they treat the Royal, we'll see if it gets to that level, because we really don't know.
We'll be keeping our eye out for it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I really wish that it was just like
John.
Yeah. I just wish the announcement was Persona 5 Rumble and we got a new fighting game.
I mean, who knows? It probably isn't because of the model we saw, but who knows? Like,
yeah, I mean, it would be interesting if they finally got, ArcSys Team Red to work on it, since
oh wow, yeah.
Since Team Blue has apparently been completely fucking incompetent and like doing nothing for the past year.
Well, outside of like teasing BBTAG.
Well, no, because guess what? The update is completely finished in Japan for arcades.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not bringing it to console or PC for months.
Of course.
Like, I'm pretty sure... When is EVO?
EVO is June?
Well, if it's June, I'm pretty sure I heard the patch is coming out May, and it will be used in EVO.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, hey... That's the thing. I know that a bunch of BB Tag players are mad because the same thing happened last year where the game was released in May and then it was EVO.
Well, like, but it's even worse because they're just sitting on the update they already have. And the thing is, we don't know, because, like, for one, it seems like they're doing the exact same thing they did before when they announced the 5th Fate, in which they've announced the 6th Fate, and they're just going to sit on that. And, like, on top of that, we don't even know if this new thing they're doing is a whole season, or if it's just these 4 characters. And we also don't know if they're going to add any other Arcana Heart characters, because, guess what? They haven't been saying anything about anything.
And the thing is, we don't even know if they're ever going to add any more Ruby characters either, like...
Yeah. Like, I know Mori keeps talking about how he wants to, but, like, I get making fighting games is hard, but they haven't done anything for almost a year.
Well, and meanwhile, Team Red is literally doing everything constantly.
Yeah.
They have the Grand Blue, they have Dragon Ball, they have the Kill la Kill thing,
and a new Guilty Gear was announced a while ago. It's gonna come out.
Hold on one
second.
second.
We haven't seen it, but a new Guilty Gear is confirmed to be coming out soon.
Right.
So, like, come on.
Alright, I'm back.
Come on, step it up.
Oh, well, I was gonna say also a new Guilty Gear was announced.
What was it like? Was it actually announced, or was it like?
Well, it was like the Metroid Prime 4 thing in which a new one is in the works.
Okay.
Like we haven't actually seen it, but a new Guilty Gear is being made.
Okay.
on top of those 3 other games. Like,
Mhm.
come on, Team Blue. Like, and the
Come
thing
on,
is, they're
buddy.
doing sprite games. It should be easier.
The thing is that on one hand, yeah. Well, the thing is that normally, I mean, sprite work still takes a whole shit ton of effort. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But BBTAG is literally reusing sprites. So
Yeah.
like it's different with BBTAG especially. Like you can't. Sure, you're making slight adjustments to Hearts sprites, which sure, okay, yeah, that takes a lot of work, and you had to make custom Ruby sprites. But Undernight, Blaze Blue, and Persona 4 are untouched. So
Yeah. You know what? They better be releasing like 3 fighting games within the next year.
you know they're
Otherwise-
not. You know they're
I
not.
know they're.
We
because
know, but we
apparently-
can believe.
Apparently, as I found out, this is just how, maybe not Team Red, but like I don't know if it's Arc System in general or if it's just Team Blue, but this is just how they work.
I'm pretty sure it's
constantly.
just Team Blue.
That's how Arc System works.
Because
Capcom.
I'm pretty sure this is just how it's been with Arc System with Team Blue. Because I don't think Arc System. I mean, I could be very wrong because I don't remember every history of every game company. But I don't think Team Red has ever been as busy before as it is now. But I think if I'm correct, it's kind of been like always like this, but to a lesser extreme.
Yeah, fucking Team Red working on 4 games at a decent pace. Meanwhile, Team Blue can't add one character that already has all its sprites made and abilities designed.
That's the thing too. It's like it's not even that all the sprites are made. All of the moves are designed. I mean, for the most part, sure, you have to translate them to the new system, but like, for the most part, you can keep a lot of what's already there. Like,
Yeah, like my only 2 explanations are. Oh no, 3. 1, they're working on some other project that's really big, but I doubt that one. 2, and probably the worst one, the game is coded so poorly that they forgot to implement everything in a way in which they could add more characters easily, which seems insanely stupid, but like that would explain why it takes them forever to add anything.
yeah, I mean, it definitely would explain that. I'd like to have a little more faith in them, but like the thing,
I would too, but what other explanations do we have?
that's I mean, the only other thing I can think of is that they know. I mean, they're having enough success with how they're doing it, so why change it? Which is how a lot of
that
things
was
work.
number 3.
Yeah.
They're lazy, and they know that like all of their fans are diehard enough that they can get away with it.
And to be fair, as you said, it's already released in arcades, which I mean is a huge ass market in Japan. Not so much here. So
Yeah.
for all
Well,
we
no,
know, the arcade could be their main priority, which it probably is.
No, but that's one of the things. The thing is, that's that whole thing which they release things in Japan exclusively first for years. Like
Yeah.
apparently the Blaze Blue game before this was like, or maybe even just a patch of it was exclusive to Japan for like 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And so there could just be no competitive scene for the game in America.
100%. And I mean it was similar with Tekken 7. It was in arcades for years before it came to console.
Yeah, and also similar for still going actually for the newest Persona game, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Because the Japanese patch still hasn't been moved to America.
Really?
Yeah. So if you want to play the game competitively, you still have to like get a Japanese PS3 and a Japanese copy of the game in order to play the correct updated version of the game. It still hasn't been updated.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And it probably
again-
won't ever at this point.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And like the thing is, they announced like that one of the things with BBTAG that a lot of people got excited for was that they specifically went out of their way and said, okay, for the first time we're having a release on all platforms at the same time and all countries that it's going to at the same time. Like, and it's the first time that Team Blue has ever done that, I'm pretty sure.
Man, I can't believe that that America's just not getting updates anymore.
Yeah, it's like, and they're like, they tried to hold to that, and then they've, not only have they betrayed it, but that, like, because another issue is the fact that most, like, all the Blaze Blue games, the Japanese community and the Japanese players are so much better than the American players because they've had experience to play the correct version of the game, or sometimes just the game at all, for like 4 more years than the American players. So now part of the thing was we want to make it so that, you know, all the countries have an equal shot at, you know, being the best players.
They
Nope.
say sliding money to the Japanese
Yeah.
tournaments.
Because the new patch is coming out a month before EVO, yet
Yeah.
everyone in Japan already has it.
Yeah, the entire time, I know this is Team Red and it kind of goes like against what we were saying, but the whole time while we're talking about this, I'm in the back of my head, the music that's playing is when they had like the big Dragon Ball Fighters like World Cup thing recently, and at the very end they had like a live band perform the main theme of the game, and it was mega awful. Like, that's just playing in the back of my head. Have you not seen... Okay, after this podcast, I need to show it to you because, like, they did this live performance of, like, the main lobby. It was terra-awful. It was, like,
Oh, man.
it's worse than you're probably imagining.
I'm sure that it is, and you've piqued my interest.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Oh, man.
God. Like, from what my knowledge has been, this is mostly how it's been with Team Blue, always, so...
Yeah. I hate that.
There's not much any of us can do about it, though.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we live in America. This
Yeah,
is America.
exactly.
Man, we got really sidetracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when we
Well,
were
I mean,
talking
that's what
about
happens when
video
Atlus
game
keeps
shows?
announcing announcements instead of announcing their games, so... You know.
Yeah, we have to talk about other things.
We have to talk about other things that their characters are in that are sometimes announced a little more frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to
Sometimes.
talk about a whole other company.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we're going to announce right here and now that at some point in this podcast, we're going to talk about the game that was recommended next week. But stick around another hour and we might tell you exactly.
I don't know, man. I mean, if we're gonna continue the train of fighting game talk, I mean, Mortal Kombat 11's had a lot of stuff recently. So, yeah, this is probably... the part of the podcast where I know what I'm talking about, but the others don't.
Yeah, time to zone out. No, I'm joking. I'll be here.
It's fine.
I'll try to stay engaged.
But yeah, no, the thing is, I wasn't going to stay on it for very long because, again, I know you guys don't really know much about it, but Mortal Kombat 11, as of late, has been getting, like, a huge amount of, like, consistent, like, updates and stuff and, like, announcements of, like, characters and other things related to it, because one of the cool things with Mortal Kombat 11 is that its whole story is time travel based, so, I mean, take the actual plot of Mortal Kombat with a grain of salt of how good it's gonna be, but the point is, because it's time travel, literally, because Mortal Kombat actually likes to stay consistent with the characters that die in lore, but now they can just bring back anybody, regardless of if they've turned evil or if they're dead or anything, because, like, there's 2 timelines anyway, so they're crossing characters from the old timeline into Mortal Kombat 11. It's a giant whatever. Point is, though, is that a bunch of characters are being announced and stuff recently, like, there's, like, Aaron Black from Mortal Kombat 10 is back, Noob Saibot, who was missing in 10 but was there in 9, is back, and people are really excited about him. They've announced, like, 2 new characters recently, being, I think her name's Cetrian, and she looks more like an Injustice character than Mortal Kombat. And then there's the Collector, who's basically, like, okay, imagine, like, a Golem-like character who's like, oh, my precious treasure, all that shit, and, you know, being all greedy, money-grubbing with, like, a backpack full of gold and 6 arms, and whatever your image in your head is probably what the character actually is. Because he is...
I'm literally...
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
He looks exactly like how you
like...
imagine, probably.
Yeah, I'm thinking of... fuck, who's that one guy? Freddy something?
Krueger?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger. I'm thinking he looks like him, but he's just got a bag.
Okay, maybe not Freddy Krueger, because Freddy Krueger was in Mortal Kombat 9, but, like...
Right.
Yeah.
Man, what if they're adding him?
Oh, man. But yeah, so when it comes to Mortal Kombat stuff, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on with, like, announcements and stuff, and I don't want to stay on it for too long, but I know I'm personally, like, even if I don't actually get the game, I'm planning on probably getting it, but even if I don't get it, I'm interested to see, like, what happens with it. And thing is, I want to bring a highlight, because Johnny Cage is always the best character in every game, because he's, like, he's the character they aren't taking seriously, in that sense, like, he's, like, the joke comedic relief type of character, and some of the shit they've given him in Mortal Kombat 11 is so fucking good, like, as a thing, so... well, for one, let me just say the fatalities in 11 are fucking gross. But the thing is that in the classic Mortal Kombat, like OG titles and stuff, Johnny Cage had like a fatality where the whole thing is that he'd punch off your head once, or like but then like they'd grow another head, and then he'd punch it off again, and they'd grow another head, and he'd punch it off again. It made no sense because like what?
That's not his power set.
Yeah, no, but like that's that was just like a thing. Like old Mortal Kombat fatalities would have things where people are exploding and have 6 rib cages or whatever the fuck. But the thing is that they've redone that fatality in 11. But the way they do it is that they make it so Johnny will like do the punch and it'll go through. But he's like, I wasn't feeling that one. Take 2, and then there's a little like director's cut board, and it goes take 2, and it goes, and like the last one's like take 387 or something, and then he finally punches off their head right, and it's great. I love him so much. He's so
he
good.
sounds like a you.
Oh yeah, no, just okay. A very similar to the Dragon Ball FighterZ thing. Once this podcast is over, I'm gonna show you like a compilation of Johnny Cage Mortal Kombat 11 things, because his entire like kit and sense of humor is so fucking golden. Literally, because like every character has like customizable gear or whatever, and so when you're customizing Johnny's gear, you can look at him, and if you're looking at him for long enough, he'll like nod his head downward for you to look down, and if you look down, he's doing an okay hand with his fingers.
Oh my god.
No!
He does that. He's like this, like however old movie star, and like has a wife and kids, but he does that. Like, it's great. I love him so much.
What?
He's so awful. I love him.
Yeah, he does sound like a you character.
Yeah. So yeah.
That like hurt my brain.
Yeah, I'll get a compilation of Johnny Cage Mortal Kombat 11 things after we're done here. But yeah, I mainly just wanted to talk about the fact that Mortal Kombat 11's been getting a lot of stuff recently, and I'm excited about it. It looks fun.
Well, a fighting game getting consistent like news about it. Oh my god!
Wow, it's almost like wait, and that reminds me, Dragon Ball FighterZ news for the podcast. Oh boy! So the new patch came out, and I honestly can't remember if we talked about this last time, but new patch is out, and we can really talk about like what it's changed and stuff to where like Nappa got like a large amount of buffs to where he's usable now, but not like amazing, but you can actually use him, so you can like he can function as a real character now. And now Goku Blue, instead of being useless, is an actually really good character and stuff. Then they also did things where they like removed Majin Buu's some of his fat throw mix-ups, but point is they changed some stuff, and a lot of characters who were consistently terrible since the beginning of the game got boosted up a decent amount. So, yeah. Just, hey, mainly want to mention that because, keep the meme alive of this podcast, but also...
Is Cell still alive, though?
Yes. I'm alive. Yeah, I don't think Cell's ever gonna completely die in Fighters, because he's a good character, and I don't think they want to nerf him that much. Anyway, that's it for that. So, I guess the last thing we have on the list before our main guy over here is we've got something I don't have a transition for, but this was announced a while ago, but I don't think we talked about it on Game Library yet, and I think it's kind of an important thing to talk about at some point. There's like the whole Google Arcade thing where Google's like releasing their console thing kind of, but all of its games are like online streamed and stuff. And I mean, for one, it's Google releasing a console, so like I mean, regardless of how you feel about Google and
how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah, regardless of how you feel about Google or like the console itself, I mean, this is gonna get a lot of attention because it's Google. And then I mean, I know they had like a whole clip show of like a bunch of games that were coming to it, and I know they were like in their little like clip show they had like little small segments of like fairly like popular games being ported to it. I mean, the one of course I know about is Sonic Generations because I'm me, but like there was a bunch of stuff that seems like it's coming to it, but the big catch, digital only. So hey, but hey, how are you guys feeling about it?
I mean, like, to be honest, it's for me, it's not like a digital only thing because I don't really care about physical copies. I know some people do, but I don't.
I do personally, but yeah.
Yeah, but for me, it's literally an issue of I just want to have everything on PC, and I know that's so selfish, but like I'm just so done with consoles. Like I got a Switch, but I only got one because Nintendo is like they're so stingy with putting their games on PC that it just doesn't ever happen.
Well, yeah, because that's their whole business market is like their business practices by making consoles.
Yeah, just make consoles and then make like a bunch of really good games, but they're console exclusives, and then everyone will want to get them.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's a good business strategy because in the end, they do end up making the best games, and by extension, the console most people care about. But like, I just want to be able to have everything on my PC. Okay.
I mean,
it's such a selfish, like, I know there's no intellectual reason behind it. Like, reasonably, I think the Google thing is nice, depending, of course, I'm really worried because like, you know, it's Google, and they'll probably, like, collect data and sell it to ad people again. You know, we might get an original Xbox One kind of thing in which, like, you know, the Kinect was always
like
on, so, like,
yeah,
it was spying on you, you know, that's kind of a worry. But I mean, other than that, it's like, I don't know, it's whatever. I'm like, I feel like outside of Nintendo, I'm just like past consoles at this point. I just care about PC.
Yeah, and I know that like regardless of how you feel about like Xbox One, like they're collaborating with Nintendo a lot, which is something. Meanwhile, Sony's being like back on their bullshit again and like, no, we don't want friends. And then people are starting to lose interest in the PS4. I wonder why.
Yeah. That seems to always be the cycle. One game.
Come on, gang. Looks like we have a mystery to solve.
Like either Sony or Microsoft dominate one console generation, and then they get way too like stuck up and go too far, while the other one's like, okay, we need to try to like reinvent ourselves and make something good, and then it flips. That's what always happens, and then Nintendo doesn't care.
Yeah, and then Nintendo's wacky Funland with their shaky sticks.
Yeah.
Nintendo wins anyway,
like, not
so
even
what's the
connected
point
to
of
it.
trying?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, outside of that, it's like...
Why push a button when you can shake a stick?
I don't have any strong opinions.
Okay, I just wanted to mention it.
You don't have a character motive?
Yeah, I don't have a character motive. I just wanted to mention it because it's, you know, it's a relatively important thing in gaming lore. So
I mean,
no.
Don't ever say that though.
I mean, I could say it again. Not now. I'll surprise it. I'll throw it in as a surprise later.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gamer lore.
Yeah, gamer or gaming lore, either or.
I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like it's more impactful when you say the G word.
Well, yeah. So, you know, gamer lore. We some new things at the forefront of it. We've got Google Arcade, Johnny Cage giving you the okay hand, Torso.
Johnny Cage.
Oh my God! I just realized something terrible.
What?
The initials of this podcast are GL. Gamer lore.
Gamer lore.
No! And libraries have to do with books.
Yeah, it's gamer lore. It's a synonym for the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Well,
So, do you regret voting for this name now,
Yes.
Sylvia?
It's gamer lore. We've been playing the long game.
No! How could you do such a thing?
Oh man. Well, I guess if we're done talking about news, then we're gonna get to our game of the every other week.
All right,
maybe.
everybody. So before we start, as per usual, if you have played the game that we mentioned at the end of last podcast before coming in here, then hey, you're all good or whatever. But like, if you haven't and you don't want to be spoiled for it, which will be, you know, saying what it is in a second, but if you don't want spoilers for this game, then skip to the end of the podcast through the description timestamp thingies to see what Sylvia suggests for next time. But yeah, we're gonna be talking.
Although I will say that most spoilers are gameplay spoilers, not story spoilers.
Oh yeah, no, 100% with this game, it's definitely 100%.
This is definitely a gameplay game, not like Danganronpa.
This is a gameplay game, 110%. But the thing is that if you want to go in completely blind, play it, then come back to this. If you've played the game before, then hey, you'll get to hear us talk about it. And hey, Zanza, what's the game?
It's Furi.
F-U-R-I for...
Yeah, F-U-R-I, Furi.
Furry?
Fury.
Furry?
You gotta... No, Fury.
You furry?
Don't call me out like this, no.
You furries? Fury. Yeah, Fury. That's the So yeah, if you haven't played Fury and you don't want spoilers, leave now. Except don't leave. Just go to the end of the podcast.
It's like it's like this top-down mix of like bullet hell shooter / gunplay twin stick kind of game. And the whole thing is built around really long boss fight rushes with multiple phases.
Yeah.
It's good, and I think we should probably. I don't think there's really much to say about the story.
The thing I do, I want to mention stuff with the story mainly because the thing is normally I wouldn't. I guess okay. Should we do first impressions first, or should we get into this? Because
I think we should go into first impressions.
Okay. Because I want to talk about story stuff just because of a thing with me when I was playing it.
Okay. And I kind of want to go first for story not story.
Oh yeah.
For
first impressions. Yeah.
So for first impressions, I've suggested 2 other games on the podcast. It was Into the Breach, which was just like, for me, that was just kind of like a whatever game. It was a game a lot of people were talking about, and I wanted to eventually play it. So it wasn't really a suggestion of like what I want or what I like. It was just whatever. And then Danganronpa was sort of, I just played this. Up to Danganronpa 2, I need to make everyone see the one joke that you would know what it is if you watched the last episode.
And then it went way out of control.
Yeah, I'll do this long setup, and for some reason you guys really liked it.
Yeah.
So this is like the first game that like
this
I've
wasn't
actually.
supposed to happen.
But this is like.
Planning has backfired. Zanza claws.
But this is like the first game that I've done that like I've actually like cared about. I often say that, like, because the thing is, I love boss fight games. And like the big thing is, I love games where the design philosophy is the fact that the mechanics are made in a way that you have tons of different options and ways to learn how to use the systems in new ways to do things really well, and like you have to learn attack patterns and learn how to exploit them with your many options. And if you beat the hard mode of the game, they specifically say that the game was intended to be played, it was designed like an instrument, and like you have to play it a lot to like learn and master it over time, which is definitely how I feel the game is.
I will 100% agree with that. Yeah.
And that is my kind of game. That is just my thing. It's really, really hard. It's basically my aesthetic. The music is decent.
That it's like the Dark Souls of
boss
rush game.
0 out of 10 now. Thank you.
Man, I love Crash Bandicoot.
Let's never talk about Dark Souls ever again until I suggest it eventually. But point is. It's really good mechanically. I will say for the story that it's one of those things where, because it is so rich in gameplay and that is by far the focus, I don't think the story is really important and you need to care. But it's one of those things in which I think if you look at it on like a purely emotional level, it works. But if you try to think about it at all logically, or even like anything else beyond that, then it falls apart really fast.
Yeah.
I'd say it's got a pretty good theme going on, but like it kind of falls flat elsewhere. And I'll get into my other thoughts later, but basically I'm giving it a monkey, but basically I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Because that, for me, when it comes to score ranking, 8 out of 10 is like, oh yeah, this is like in my group of like really great games. And then like 9 out of 10 is like my absolute favorites. So this is just barely misses the mark, but like it's really good and I love it and you should play it or I'll find you. Anyway, next person.
Yeah.
Hey,
should
you should probably go first because you probably have the similar like length of experience to Zanza as opposed to me.
Well, that is true, but all right. I'll say, did I enjoy my time with the game? Yeah, I did. But it feels like I want to just I want to talk about it with you to let the experience ruminate and like think about what and like, cause I need to like see and I think that it would help me visualize and explain even to myself that like the parts of the game. I'm probably not making any sense.
No.
1 sec. Okay.
I mean,
Sylvia, maybe you should stop playing Enter the Gungeon while you're trying to speak.
Yeah. So Sylvia, what you're trying to
Yes.
say is you want to reflect
want
on
to
your
wait.
experience before
I
you
want
make
to
any
wait.
final judgments.
Yes. There
I mean,
we
yeah,
go.
you can always change your judgment
Man.
later though.
Yeah.
I can, yes. But
Just as
I don't know.
Just as a quick question for both of you, how long long ago did you guys find this game? Like how long have you known
Well, I
about
found it on release in 2016.
and then Zanza
Zanza
held a gun to my head and forced me to play it after.
Yeah, because it was good. And I will say that, like, I don't mean to keep going on, but, like, in 2016 was the year it was released. And for games, I have, like, on Steam, I have a thing where I add categories for best of this year, and then I add any games that I really love that came out that year into it. And, like, despite Furi being next to games like Hyper Light Drifter and Dark Souls 3 for me, I still think it's the best game of that year.
I see. Intriguing.
So, yeah. Anyway, Austin, crush my feelings.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is overall, it is most certainly a positive experience. I love boss-based games. I really do. Everything about this game, with one glaring exception, should be everything that I find in, like, my favorite type of game. And kind of, it's weird, because with a lot of, when it comes to my scoring, I'm scoring it I'm trying to keep my other scores I've given games in mind, because something with, like, when I did Kid Icarus Uprising and Persona 4, 2 games back-to-back, which are some of my favorites of all time, I was like, hey, I want to give these a 10 out of 10, but if I had to rate them realistically, I'd give them, like, 8s or 9s, but even then it's with bias towards them and all that, so, like, I'm not sure what was listed as the final thing, but that was, like, my whole logic, where, like, I'd want to give them 10s because they're, like, my favorites, but they're probably closer to 8s or 9s or whatever, at least from as much as I can do it, and the thing is, I feel like I kind of have the opposite effect with Furi, because everything that's there, and everything that should be presented, I legitimately think that objectively it is like an 8 out of 10 game. I think that it is. But personally, in my personal enjoyment factor when I think about it, as an overall thing, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as stuff like Danganronpa, which I rated a 7, so I gotta give this a 6, because the thing is, it's definitely above average, which the 5 would be the average. It's most certainly a very good thing with a lot of it. And a lot of, like, the gameplay stuff is super tight, and music's amazing. The visuals are really good. For the most part, there's one little tiny nitpick I'll get into when we get into it. But for the most part, it's so much about the presentation is really good. It's just, I really don't like bullet hells. I really don't. I'm not. I don't like bullet hells, and so I don't. And so half of this game, in the sense that, like, because when I was first playing this game, I was playing it under the mindset of, okay, it's like a sword combat, like a top-down sword-based combat game with gunplay elements. I very quickly learned that no, it's a top-down gun bullet hell game with swordplay elements, which completely flipped my perspective on it. And once I learned that, for one, I did a lot better with the game and was having more fun with it. But there's just, it's like a very hard thing, because at least for me, like, the beginning of the game, it has some shining moments, but it gets kind of rough at points for me. And then the middle has some, like, really 10 out of 10 boss fights, like, right after each other. And then the end,
then it trips up at the
especially
end,
the
right?
final boss, because it is literally just the bullet hell and removes the swordplay stuff that I really liked. Like, I was playing the final boss, I got the patterns, I was enjoying the process of learning it, but it was like, okay, it wasn't a matter of like, I'm like learning this and it feels like an accomplishment. It's like okay, I'm gonna like test my brain systematically to robot these patterns and like do all that for like the final boss, at least for me, because I'm just not a big fan of bullet hell things. That's just a personal preference of mine. So I just don't really like them that much. But even then, I will say, out of the bullet hells that I've played, this is easily one of the ones I've liked the most. And the only reason I'm giving it a score like a 6 is because, like, I'm keeping it consistent with my other scores, and I think as an overall thing, I wouldn't put it on the same enjoyment level as Danganronpa, at least not yet. However, I will say, after completing, like, the final boss, I started doing, like, you know, the hard mode stuff, like, you know, Zanza was saying, like, hey, it was meant to be on hard mode. And I will 100% say, at least from what I was kind of playing so far, until I got to the old man, I will say, the first two bosses, once I knew how to play the game more through playing the rest of it, the early part of it was a lot more fun. And I feel like playing it over time, if I was to repeatedly play it, it could very easily, like, get to that 7 mark that stuff like Danganronpa, or maybe even reach that 8, maybe. But the thing is that I think objectively, it's around a 7 or 8 out of 10, definitely, I'd give it that. But for me, on like a personal enjoyment level, I'm gonna have to give it like a 6 for now.
Oh man, you're gonna hate a lot of the games I suggest because I love bullet hells.
Oh, no.
Oh well,
Yeah.
you can just suffer.
Yeah, maybe I'll be forced into liking them.
Yeah. Yeah, probably
Like I
eventually.
was forced into liking
Yeah,
Furi.
I don't know.
I wasn't forced into it. Don't worry.
Yeah, because again, I think there are a lot of elements of Furi that are absolutely like amazing, but at the same time, when it's a genre that I'm not particularly fond of, the fact that there's so much of it that I really like that makes it an above average experience is a pretty good compliment. Because I really do not like bullet hells. I really don't.
Well, maybe I can convert you like you converted me into fighting games.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, Sylvia, what about you?
I meant more ruminate until the end, because okay, like, to put my thoughts in perspective right this second, I totally agree with Austin that is this a good game? Yes. But there's just something in the middle where, as he said, I think that it's at the beginning, really good in the middle, and then it trips and falls and needs to go to the hospital at the end.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that severe at the end, but I will agree.
Yeah.
I think the middle is the high point.
Yeah, I will go
maybe
ahead.
Not needs to go to the hospital, but you get it. It loses some of its quality,
Yeah,
and part of me wants to think about why.
I can explain why once we get into talking about the whole thing, because I'll talk about what I think. But you know,
I mean, I wanted to start talking about it if Sylvia isn't gonna do her thing.
Because there are some beautiful boss fights, again, as Austin said, but there's something there. There's something there that doesn't mesh well with me. So I guess, like, if someone held a gun to my head right now, like Zanza's probably doing, and I'm not really seeing it, 7 out of 10. Maybe 8.
I see.
But that's probably going to change.
I see.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like my rating could definitely change if I play it more and get more used to it. But at the same time, it's hard for me.
yeah. Again, like, not only do I love bullet hells, and do I love boss rush games, and do I love the aesthetic, and I also say, like, one thing that I always say is that if you could choose, like, a hyper-specific, like, genre that I love, or, like, an aesthetic that immediately captivates me, if you show me a top-down twin-stick shooter game with teleport dashes and swordplay elements with boss fights, like, that sounds really specific, but that's, like, my thing. And so, this game ticks all those boxes, and any game that does that always immediately draws me in.
I will say, this is leagues better than Travis Strikes Again. which is a game that I played recently that has, at least on first glance, a relatively similar kind of, like, top-down gameplay thing. This is a far better game than that.
When you
Okay,
first
okay,
offered-
good. I didn't want to have to harvest your entrails.
I remember you explicitly mentioned this game looks like what Travis Strikes Again should have been.
That was what I first said when I saw the trailer, and
Yeah.
I still hold to that. I still hold to that 100%.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like bullet hells, I still agree that bullet hell would be better than what Travis Strikes Again was. But
Yeah. Like,
You're laughing
know,
very
man.
nervously.
yeah.
yeah, because he's nervous that I'm coming.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
can hear he can hear Gordo's theme getting louder.
Yeah. I can hear Gordo's theme. I can hear the Grim Reaper, spinning like a tornado. Whirlwind is like kicking up nearby.
Yeah, you just got to be careful when you hear the mortal slide, because that means the scythe is already coming to grab you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Gordo's back in town to kill you, I see.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we want to jump into a discussion about the game,
Suppose so.
like for me, I really love how many options the game gives you to deal with a lot of things. Like, there are so many little optimization things that, like, when you
Yeah.
play the game enough, you find
Oh,
out
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Like, whenever you do, like, a perfect parry or
Yeah.
whatever, and you put an enemy in stun, you can actually fire, like, 3 or 4 bullets before you hit them for extra damage.
Okay.
Oh.
And then there's stuff like, there are tons of moments in which if you do charge slashes or charged, like, bullet shots between patterns, you can, like, knock down an enemy right before they do, like, an even, like, harder moment. Like, the one guy, I know for a fact, he's, like, the weird scuba guy
Oh, yeah.
that you didn't like. I will say that those strategies completely dominate him, and so that's mostly where I learned
Really?
about the whole. Yeah,
Because here's
like,
the thing. Because here's the thing. I was playing the game. I learned about the charge slash thing like incredibly early on. Like I was implementing that throughout the entire game. He was like the one guy I couldn't get it on for like.
Well, were you doing charged shots?
I was
No.
going to say.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you do that, because like sometimes his attacks, if you do them and then you fire them, like I remember he has the one thing in which he shoots out like some kind of green thing and then they spiral out around him.
Yep.
If you do that, if you like charge up and then fire, I forgot the exact timing because it's been a while since I fought him. But if you do that, then you hit the thing immediately as he fires it. They don't spiral out, and then he's stuck there in that animation. And so then you run forward while doing the normal shots, and then you get a sort of a combo on him after that.
Ooh,
And you
fancy.
can there's tons of little optimizations like that throughout the entire game, and like on top of that, the game I think it does a really good job of not hand-holding you, but instead using the bosses as a like way to teach you into learning the mechanics.
Yeah.
Like
Does that
like,
pretty nice.
I will say one thing. This is like a super specific nitpick, but I think the second boss of the game should have been the third, and the third should have been the second.
I agree with you in the sense that I feel like having the third boss second would have put the emphasize what you're gonna need to know for the game better. But I like the second boss better.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
so-
first of all, understandable. Have a nice day. But second of all, like, because like on the one hand, when it came to the story, so there's this one jailer guy, he does whatever, you beat him up, and then you go out, and then the next fight, because like it doesn't explain everything to you right away, because the way the game is structured, your character already knows everything that's going on. So of course they wouldn't exposit to you everything that's going on. You are like your character already knows, and the game expects you to pick things up through context clues and just seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
But because of how that boss is placed there, the next boss, you're fighting another prisoner, and the only other prisoner, and it's like it's a weird idiosyncrasy, but because they do it second, it completely threw me off on that whole thing.
I will
then
say
there's
similar for me. Yeah.
And
I
then
was
on
there
top
when
of
he was
that,
fighting it. I can confirm for whatever it's worth.
and then again on top of that, it's like fucking the third boss. His whole thing is all about dodging bullet patterns. That's basically how he teaches. That's what he teaches you. And also, like, this is going back to the there are many strategies thing. The like wave things in which you can't shoot them and they go into you.
The wave.
Like no, he has like these
the
bullets
circular
appear
ones?
like in a line to the side of you, and then after a timer they dash into you.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
the
yeah,
invincible.
yeah.
Yeah, that. Well, what you can do, you can dash through them, but if you think about it for a bit, when they come towards, you can parry them, and they all go into the thing, and they deplete his like bar health really fast.
Huh.
Because you can deflect projectiles, and that's another thing that you can learn as you play. Like, it's not told to you; it's just you just.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
I
I didn't notice that ever. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Aw.
Yeah.
Again, because the game doesn't like force you to learn things; it just expects you to experiment.
Yeah.
But
That was the game's
like,
first mistake.
Well, yeah. I mean,
those are all like important lessons, but the second fight doesn't really teach anything. It's just a fun fight, and also I think the second fight is a spike in difficulty where it's harder than both the first and third boss, and I think it should just in general be put a little bit later.
The thing is, I'll agree with you for the most part, except Old Guy's first phase is awful.
I mean, you just have to keep firing at him.
I don't like it.
You just have to keep firing at him.
For me, it's like, it's unfun and boring. Like,
I don't know.
It's a war of attrition that you can easily do. It's just really time consuming and sucky.
Again, I think if they made maybe like the health of them deplete faster, it would have been better. But like,
Yes.
I don't know. I think that's fine. I like the idea. First of all, it's like kind of reflective of his character because it was like patience, Padawan, or whatever. You know.
Yeah, and I get that, and I totally
give
I picked up on that, but I didn't like it.
And then like.
Give up the fight, it's written!
And then like on top of that, you know, it's like, because like the point is he's supposed to teach you how to dodge through bullet patterns and stuff. So it makes sense that part of his fight is just, oh yeah, there's like a complete swarm of bullets, and then you just have to like sit there and like deal with it for long enough. It's not especially difficult, but you just have to, you know. You have to learn how to passively dodge bullets in that way.
But it isn't fun.
I know, whatever. I thought it was fine. It's not that long.
I'm memeing about, but
I know.
I think that might genuinely be my least favorite phase in the game.
Huh. My least
that's one
favorite
of them.
phase of the game is actually his
Actually,
later
it's probably
phase.
in the last boss.
Really? My least favorite phase of the game is like, maybe this is only in Furier mode, but like at the end of the third guy, he has this thing in which he causes bullets to randomly spawn on the level and then zoom towards you, but they can just spawn on top of you sometimes, and oftentimes they don't really have like a set timer for when they go off, and so that is just a complete stupid mess to like get rid of your health even if you play near perfectly. That is my least favorite one, just because, I mean, I don't know if you've been able to tell from what I've said about a lot of games, but I care a lot about the design and structure of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that just kind of like seems to go in the face of like the whole point of the game, because it's random. But that's just me though.
Yeah, I get that. But like at least for me, it's like when it came to like the progression through like the boss stuff, like in terms of like just fun factor and just like stuff in general, like first guy, tutorial guy, whatever, okay, I'm neutral towards him because, you know, teaches you the basics, okay. Then first jail, like a prisoner lady, she's fun to fight for the most part. As you said, kind of a difficulty curve, took me a bit to like kind of realize what was going on. And again, at this point, it's like, oh man, I sure do like this sword game that has gun in it. And so that's how I was playing it. And then Old Guy happens, and it's like, oh my god, this first phase, I really don't like it. Then second and third phase, they're okay. Like they're and I think that like the whole time stop mechanic thing is really neat and has like a real cool visual aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then
although he never like really uses it.
He never
to its
uses it,
fullest
but I think
extent.
it looks cool. And the thing is that the final phase, again, at least on normal mode, because that's what I played the most of, because, you know, so on his like final phase or whatever, it's another like big projectile wave thing, and it's like, I mean, I got through it on the first time. I didn't die to it, but I certainly didn't like it either. And then, okay, that happens. Then Scuba Guy happens, easily like my least favorite fight in the game, although it did finally is like, hey, this is a bullet hell game. I hope you realize that, and I did. So I mean, I can thank it for making me realize that, but I didn't really like the fight. But then, as soon as I learn the fact that it's a bullet hell game, then it throws Mr. Nightman, who's like the first really good fight in the game, if you're asking me. Like, really, really good fight. And his whole thing is like, sure, you can use projectiles, but he can deflect a lot of them. So it's like mixing your bullets with your swordplay, which is the part I enjoyed the most of the game. And so, like, kind of doing that, he had a lot of really cool, like, patterns and stuff like that. He'd have the thing where he's invincible, you gotta avoid him for a bit. He morphs the arena at points. I thought his fight was really cool. Then up next is like the Angel Lady, right? And at this point, learned it's a bullet hell thing, so I'm kind of getting used to that. And sure, some of her pattern stuff was kind of but like, for the most part, pretty good fight, I'd say overall. Had some cool like you can like parry her as she's dive bombing in, which I always thought was super fun.
I didn't know you could do that.
That was the first thing I tried. And so there's that. And then I think easily the best fight in the game is next with Sniper Lady. That to me, if you're asking me, that is easily the best fight.
Weird. She's like one of my lesser ones.
I'll explain. I guess I can explain now if you want. But
I think we're going
go
to
ahead.
spend
Like
time with the bosses.
Yeah. So like for me anyway, Sniper Lady. Because okay, if we're taking it like to like just real quick, like there's tutorial guy, then there's prison lady going around an arena. Sometimes you're chasing her down, sometimes she's chasing you down. Okay, that's some nice interplay. Old man, basically static arena, projectile hell. Ugh, for me anyway. Then scuba guy, similar kind of deal. All right. Then there's night guy, who is a mostly static arena, but he does do stuff with it sometimes, and again has that bullet and other interplay. Then Flying Lady kind of changes the arena at points, all that. But I love the whole thing with the Sniper Lady as like a huge part of the fight is like, all right, you got to track her down first. Okay, you're doing that. You got to zoom through this area. There are projectiles firing at you. You got to avoid. She's firing at you. You got to like find out where she is. She's also cloaked. And then once you attack her and reveal her location, the arena closes off and you get into a close quarters combat with her, which you're still using your bullets, but is a lot more of like a back and forth kind of like showdown with like both your physical and your physical weapons and your guns. And I think it makes some really nice like dynamic. I think it's a really cool setup, and I think it works super well. It's easily my favorite, and it helps that it has the best music in the game. There's that. Then there's Parry Man, and here's your parry tutorial almost at the end of the game for some reason. Okay.
Well, no, it's not just a parry tutorial. It forces you to master parrying.
The thing is, okay, because I know I was in a call with you when I was fighting him, and the whole thing you were telling me is like, okay, well from here on out you're gonna need to master how to parry, so he's teaching you that. I'm like, okay, sure, I don't really feel anything from this fight, he's just sort of there, but okay, I guess I'll take that into it. Then the next fight's the Snow Lady, where it's like, I really like the concept of the Snow Lady fight, because it's, again, another, like, chasing her down, and she's using the environment to her advantage, and I love, like, the whole emotional part with it, like, where through gameplay, it does the best storytelling that the entire game has to offer with her final phase. But then, that happens, and I think she's, like, even if it's definitely not a hard fight in the slightest, but at least in normal mode, but I think...
I think it's specific. I think that one is supposed to be an easy fight, because that's, like,
it's the whole point of it. And so in that fight, I didn't really see any big parrying things with that. Okay, so then you're out, and all right, you're out on the ground, and you go and you meet with Star Lady, and she's like, okay, time to take over the Earth, but no, I don't want to, I've become a better person, and I want to save the Earth. So you fight her, and sure, you parry the guys that come in to attack you sometimes, but like, for me, it was mainly...
Well, no, because, again, it's supposed to be for hard mode.
Okay, well then... Okay, if it's for hard mode, then sure, but, like...
And on top of that, I feel like... I know I described it as a tutorial because that's its function, like, in kind of a design sense. But, like, the idea is... I know for a fact that a lot of people... When the pairing things goes up, they'll just kind of like, oh my god, we're getting to a parry string, I just need to mash. Like, and maybe sometimes for ones that are like weirdly delayed, like I could just memorize that one and then do it or whatever. But like a lot of his attacks are delayed. They depend on like his animation that he's doing. He hits you for like a third of your health every time, and you need to actually be able to know which pattern is which in order to parry them, and you actually have to parry on the sounds because he does tons of delays and mix-ups with them. He's the swordplay character, really.
Yeah, no,
he's
and
the swordplay boss.
The thing is, though, is that as much as I like that, I mean, his whole gimmick is learning how to parry stuff, which, I mean, I had kind of been doing throughout the game anyway.
Yeah, but did you do it perfectly?
I mean, maybe not, like, absolute perfect mundo the whole time, but I wasn't mashing it, I was, waiting for delays, it was effective, and so this guy comes along, and sure, I mean, he caught me a couple times because I didn't know his attack patterns immediately, but, like, he wasn't that hard or anything. Like, I feel like he would have been much better as, like, an early boss. Like, I don't know.
I feel like this might just be a scenario of you were really good at this, so, like, the game didn't have the same impact. I know for a lot of, at least for me and what I've heard a lot of people say about their experiences, it's, like, they tend to like it because it's really hard and it forces you to master something that, like, a lot of people just kind of, like, go along with, and don't really think about in the game. And another thing is the fact that, and you'll probably see this more as you play hard mode, although maybe you're already, whatever, but it makes it so that before, when, like, a parry section in some of the other fights might think, okay, now we're going to this, I gotta make sure I parry, it's almost like second nature after the fight. Like, you will be, like, whenever I got into a parry section in hard mode after doing that fight, it's almost like a relaxing break moment, because you just, like, and that's another thing, the game does such a good job at getting you good at the systems by, like, having all of its bosses be tests that push you into certain things, that when you go back, you're like you can just tell how much you've improved, like, more so than normal in most games.
Yeah, no, I will agree with that. It's just that, I mean, it could be like you said, for me, I was kind of parrying the whole time. So for me, sure, it was just learning this guy's specific patterns, and I mean, I definitely, like, it's like, okay, I need to pay a slight bit more attention than I had for some of them beforehand. But the thing is that, sure, yeah, I'm doing that, but it didn't really feel like a tutorial for me. It just more so felt like that's the fight where you need to parry the most. And again, could just be a difference between hard mode, but it's just like, okay, that happened. So for me anyways, like, it had some cool moments in it, definitely, and I like the part when you're on the bridge and it becomes kind of like a side scroll kind of feel. I think that's a nice set piece. But the thing is that, like, I don't think that fight, like, I feel like that fight, at least for me personally, could have been much earlier on into the game. But there's,
I don't know.
Because, like, I feel
I think that's more of, like, a you were good at that.
Yeah, and I can accept that, but, like, it's just, I don't know. It was weird because, like, Parry Guy happened, and then I like the Snow Girl fight, but while it is interesting in the sense, it's not necessarily, and it has some cool gameplay moments. The best part about it is it's, like, storytelling through gameplay, definitely. And then final boss happens, and it's mega bullet hell, and I'm like, oh, robo mode, time to analyze instead of play. And so it's just kind of weird, because, like, again, that comes immediately after what I like to think is my favorite fight by far, which is the Sniper Lady, too. So it's like, it's like a sudden, like, okay.
Okay, cool.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still curious. What do you mean by, like, analyze instead of play?
So for me, anyways, because, like, when it comes to and this could be, like, the weird, like, well, what are you looking for in a video game anyway with, like, the boss things, where, like, at least for me, when it comes to, like, bullet hell things, for me, like, for one, I see it and it's like, whoa, sudden mental overload, okay, I gotta, like, sit down and process this. And for me, it's more so a matter of, it feels more like a war of attrition, like, in certain senses, because, like, with a lot of the bullet hell stuff, it's like memorizing this exact pattern that, at least for me anyways, in the final boss, it was memorize this exact pattern you have to do, otherwise bullet hell stuff will be, like, really fucking crazy to avoid. And for, like, at least for the way that I work, for me, it's like an instantaneous go from, like, feeling natural of, like, hey, I'm playing the game combat-wise, to, okay, I am going to consciously think of, alright, time to, like, robot analyze this thing, as opposed to kind of going with the flow while also being able to do that. It's like, it's weird. It's like a sudden, like, non-natural feeling for me.
Weird, because, like, I I don't even feel that at all. That's weird for me. I don't know. Maybe it's because. So I want to give a little spoiler alert to the folks at home. I'm kind of bad at video games, so like that's already kind of how I view all games.
As they all say in unison, that wasn't a spoiler, Zanza Claus.
Yeah, we already knew.
Yeah, I don't know.
But like, I don't know. That kind of like analyze them. First of all, I think that's kind of already how every game works for me.
Well, okay, but
like,
yeah,
but like, second of all, I feel like that's not like the thing about bullet hells, and why oftentimes, like, unlike maybe other bullet hell fans, I don't like to play the same games over and over and over again and like master the same patterns, because like I don't know, I feel like they're all pretty reactable as long as like it's all about being able to parse things really, really fast and to react to them really, really fast.
Yeah, but like the thing is that, like, I mean, I don't think you'll be able to understand it in the sense, since you're not able to understand like what I'm saying already, but at least for me, like for me it feels like there's an incredibly big distinction between like playing a fighting game and analyzing your enemies like weak points and patterns and then playing off of that, and then what this is for me. And I honestly, I'm not even sure if I fully understand it myself, but like with the way it feels so much more like it's like I gotta slow down, I gotta like, okay, I need to specifically hone in, whereas with a lot of stuff, sure, like you analyze patterns and stuff, but like at a point it feels like it becomes second nature. Whereas for me, anyways, when it goes into these massive bullet hell segments, it never feels natural. It feels like a strain to like, okay, I gotta keep this in mind and like have everything. It's like micromanaging a bajillion things at once for me. And it's weird because I don't get that with fighting games when it's a relatively a similar practice. And with a lot of other games, I don't feel like that. It's just, I know with bullet hell specifically, which is why I don't typically like them, I feel like it's less me playing the game and more so I'm going to just slam my head into this until I learn the pattern, and then I'll be able to like perfectly analyze this to where I can minimize everything, and you know, it feels like a weird constant strategy game, which in a way is fun, but and sometimes it doesn't, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's weird.
All right, that's actually really useful to know for something.
Okay.
Yeah. Sylvia, what do you think about bullet hells?
I have had little experience with them, but the main one that don't count that. The main one that I like have experience with is a game called Jamestown. I don't think like anybody knows about it, but I mean, I enjoyed my time with that game. It wasn't particularly like extremely difficult. I think that its difficulty was just increasing the health bars. Point is, I like them. I wish that I could have more experience with them.
As I was saying earlier, I feel like Furi is at its strongest when it's providing a good like mix in like of a mix of gun and sword play that like goes interchangeably in variables throughout the fight. I think that's when it's at its best, like easily for me, because when the fights lean too heavily towards one or another, they're either like just okay to it goes from just okay to something that I really don't like, and along those notes to something that I just robo mode over. Like, again, that's why I feel like those middle fights I was talking about, to me anyway, feel like some of the more like some of my favorite fights, because like Night Guy is all about that. Angel Girl is a lot more about, you know, shooting than it is swordplay, but even still, there's plenty of swordplay stuff in it. And then, again, I think Sniper Lady is the absolute highlight of that, because not only is it the mix between gunplay and swordplay in the fight itself, but it's also of like different ways you use your movement options of like dashing around an environment and dodging enemies, as well as when you get into close quarters combat, doing the same sort of dodging as you've been doing against the other bosses. And I personally, I just think it's like, it is easily the standout for me. And again, helps a lot that it has the best music for me. Like, helps a shit ton, because that music's fucking great. I mean, the whole soundtrack is really great, but if
you look at it, it's like made by most of the people who did like stuff for Hotline Miami and things.
Yeah, and I I will say this because I know I'm kind of like going back and forth with how I feel about the game. Because again, I think overall the gameplay is super polished, and if you're more of a fan of bullet hells, you can get as much as Zanza and Sylvia do out of it. But for me, it's a bit hard. But I will say, on like an objective level, I think all of that works pretty well for the most part. I just don't like it that much. And then, at least some parts of it. But I will say, when it comes to like visuals for the most part, and then, hold on one second actually, oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, when it comes to visuals for the most part, and then like the soundtrack, like most elements of the presentation, I think are really out of the park. But the thing is, when it comes to the visual stuff, I might as well, because I mentioned it earlier, the one thing I really don't like is that in the like the final cutscenes, when Ryder is in like the big mech thing that's there for some reason, when he's in the big mech thing and flying through space to get back to Mother Base or whatever the fuck he's doing, the background texture they use for space is so obviously like a flat 2D image. It's like so obviously like just like a big texture wrapped around it. That's my visual gripe. That's my single visual gripe.
Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe it's partly because my computer's a little poopy, so I had to turn down some settings. But like to me, like not even just visuals in a lot of things, and this is probably a consequence of this being the team's first game and an indie game, but it's kind of unpolished outside of the gameplay.
I don't know, like because here's the thing: is it like really like ultra amazing visuals, like the top of the line? Maybe not quite, but I really like the aesthetic it goes for. Like I think the visuals work.
Oh yeah, no, I think the aesthetic is fine, but like what they do, you could kind of tell it's unpolished.
Well, yeah, but the thing is though, is that for what it is, I think it works really well, except for that space thing. Except because for the most part, I could actually feel like immersed into some of these environments outside of that space thing.
So
I don't know. Like for me, like on like the long walking segments, like your character clips through the floor like all the time.
The thing is with that for me though, is that when those walking segments, I'm more so like when I'm watching it, sure I am paying attention to the character moving obviously because it's part of it, but I'm more so trying to focus on like weird cinematography things because they do a lot of really cool cinematic angles. But I'll get into my stuff with that later, but I know Sylvia, you were trying to say something?
Yeah. I was. It feels like there are very clearly two little camps with a very certain part of this game. There are people who either really like the walking segments because it gives time to build up to the boss, and there are people who really want to skip them. Okay. Which camp are you guys in?
Okay.
You go first, Zanza.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I don't actually know anyone who likes them, but I am in the camp of I don't care. Because to be honest, you can toggle. It's a toggle. Moving is a toggle, so you don't even need to really think about it when you activate it. And they're just kind of like short atmospheric bits. Like I don't really think of them as a cooldown segment. I could totally just immediately jump into the next fight, but I don't really think waiting for like 2 minutes, especially since they're mostly disguised load screens. Like there's a reason why it jumps immediately into an intro cutscene and then immediately into the fight when you come in. It uses this as a loading screen. But like I don't know. I personally think like waiting for 2 minutes is not like a big deal when when it actually has effort put into it.
Now yeah, you go, sorry.
I'm in the camp of I would rather them be skippable, but I also have a very certain gripe with the walking segments. I think that there is one part of the game where you can, like, branch off of the expected path, right?
You mean at the end of the game, right?
Not because while in the little prison area.
Yeah, no, there's a slight path, but it leads to mostly a dead end, but little rabbit guys hanging his feet over the edge.
Exactly. I wish that there were more there was more actual substance to the places. Well, and you could like walk around them and
again, I don't feel
maybe I'm being the big stupid. I don't know.
No, like I get it, and I think it's like cute that they did this little Easter egg, but if they like made it a habit, then like it would be expected, and then like to be honest, the fact you have to move so slow because they want you to you can't speed through like the little like atmospheric set pieces, and B, again, this is a load screen. That's the primary issue with it. So they can't increase your walk speed. So just by that, people are already upset that they're too long. Having to manually like look around and move to find the place, like for some super minuscule little thing, and then have to like spend time moving back. Most people would not care, and at that point, it's like development time being wasted for you could consider. I don't know. They could do that.
Yeah.
But like I don't think it would make them better. I think for some people it would make them worse.
I get that, but it like if they have the option to go and walk on your own, then why don't they give some kind of incentive for it?
Well, I think the whole incentive is that
me.
if you want to feel like you're in control of your character walking through these cinematic lush environments, but are actually just loading screens. But like the thing,
I'm pretty sure it's just a thing because they know for a fact people are going to yell and complain. Why are there these such long, boring cutscenes?
But like
I get that.
Yeah, the thing for me, when it comes to the walking thing, because I know I was mentioning earlier there was one thing on the story I wanted to touch on because like again it's definitely not a story-based game, but like the thing is the way they present, because obviously the main reason those are there are probably because loading screen, but because of the way that they're doing them and the choice that they made to do them, because they're obviously trying to use it to set up atmosphere. Because like as you were saying, Sylvia, some people might like them because they set up information about the boss, but the thing is that same information could be either set up through their intro cutscene or in like a fraction of the time. So
Shit, you're right.
the thing there's that, but also the fact that like the way that they're presenting it as, because it's all these like different like cinematic like sort of like angles and stuff, and it looks like they're trying to be relatively artsy with some of the stuff, and the environments like with the old man's dream world, like the platforms come out in front of you as you're walking and stuff, and there's all that, and then the bunny guy will keep appearing and like will tell you about the boss, or maybe go into a quick thing about it's fucked up that we're locked here or whatever, the jailer, kill him, he's the key. And so like there's all there's all of that. But the thing is for me is that obviously looking at it as a whole, the story's not the main thing, so I can kind of ignore it. But with the way they handle those loading segments with the walking, it feels like they want to make the story like a thing to be noticed. It feels like they want that to be a thing that people focus on, at least for an extent. And what's there isn't really of any substance.
Well, again, this reminded me of something that I actually forgot about. So the reason why at least the reason why I don't think they went out and just said, hey, here's the lore of the fight in the intro cutscene, outside of either loading screen or the fact that like, your characters already know what's up, so why would they go and exposit in the middle of a fight, and the voice guy doesn't want to get seen. But other than that, I think the big thing is the fact that throughout the whole game, it's pretty clear that A, the voice is the guy who built the prison, and B, the entire place is specifically designed not to hold you, but to rehabilitate you. Like, because it starts out, if you notice, it starts out with the most irredeemable guy who just, like, enjoys beating you up all the time. But as you go, like, every single step, every character becomes more and more understandable and human. And I'm pretty sure, because the voice designed it, I'm pretty sure that's by design. And so it separates these segments because the voice builds up how terrible they are and how, oh man, this guy locked you up, 20 against 1, 100 against 1, whatever, was that fair? And all that, he goes on. And then when you see the guy, he's got a family, and he's like a serious like dude who with a thing, and that's for all of the characters pretty much. Like they all, there's the way in which the voice tries to get you into like fighting them because he eggs you on because he wants you to break out, but then there's a complete difference between who they actually are.
Well, yeah,
and that's I think it's supposed to create like kind of are we really a good guy in the thing, which is, again, that's why I said I don't think it's a spoiler, because I know a while ago you were like, oh wow, plot twist, you're like evil, but I think that's like the whole point, because like all of the characters, like the voice hypes them up to be like the most evil people, the bunny guy, and then they turn out to be like normal, rational, reasonable people who have like specific things.
Well, yeah,
And again, I think that's the idea. It was designed specifically to rehabilitate you, which is why I think the thing at the ending, which you can choose to, fight the big computer guy instead. I don't think it comes out of nowhere, like, oh, he's just like redeemed all of a sudden. No, it's like that's what the whole game was building to.
Yeah, no, I feel like, and the thing is, you can definitely notice that throughout, and definitely by Snow Girl, you can definitely feel that, because that's the whole point of her fight. Like, that's the whole thing. So it is that, but the thing is that because, all right, you need these loading segments because you're going to need to load it anyway, but you also want to have this theming to it. Okay, but like it obviously there's this theming to it. I just maybe it's like a weird conflict because I know realistically they can't shorten it down because it's loading stuff, but like at the same time,
could you try?
I don't know like what it's
I'm kidding.
The way that it's presented makes it feel like they're trying to make it a lot more grandiose than it is, because sure, you can gain that through like the context of like what the voice is saying, and obviously that has part of it. But you could also just gather that from seeing the people themselves. Like, I feel like for the most part, you can kind of get it just from like what the bosses are saying.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I can kind of get
so,
that.
like,
Again, I think it's mostly an exposition thing, and I don't know. I feel like if you did that, you could do that and get away with it, but you would be missing out. Like, you'd be making it a lesser.
I feel like there's a way of doing it that isn't... I don't know, it's just something that bothers me about it, because like the whole thing is that it's not, the story isn't like the main thing and all that, but like just the way they're presenting it, it feels like they're making it a bigger deal than it is, you know?
Yeah, and again, I will totally say that like the story is one of the failures, and they probably thought it was way better than it was. My big problem are things that like make it so that if you really look at the story and try to think about it, it doesn't work. Like, for one, the voice's whole motivation is the fact that he wants to find he wants to get his daughter, right?
Yeah.
The hand first of all, the hand literally just has his son in the thing with him.
Yeah.
Why the fuck doesn't he get that? Two, he hasn't aged at all. It's like, because with the one guy, there's the, there's the guy who's just like, oh, you're given an eternity to wait. What do you do? This guy trained. It's like, oh man, this guy's been training himself for whoever knows. Yeah, Perry guy. He's been training himself for whoever knows how long. But the daughter hasn't aged at all? Like, has this been like a year? Like, she's not even in the big time contraption. Like, what's up with her?
Yeah.
Like, I could theoretically argue maybe time dilate, but like if time's dilated so that time moves slower in the jail, then that's the opposite of what you'd want, because that means that in the real world, if he ever breaks out, you're containing him. You have to spend more time containing him than you are getting time in which you're protecting the planet. So it's like it doesn't work. That's my issue. If you look at it even a little bit, it breaks. And also, why do they have this like weird crazy laser light show lady here? Like, what if she like, and then like the biggest issue I think is the fact that if they can make laser light show lady, crazy weirdo into the jailer, and so, she has to be beaten in order to open the gate, they could have just done that with the stranger guy, the writer.
Yeah, and what I don't understand as well is that like the whole implication that the submarine guy, the scuba guy, he's like you, right? Because he was like isn't he supposed to be another one of the writers or something?
No.
Okay, well, what is he then?
No. He's like the corruption aura that you do.
Oh, you corrupted
that, like, kind
him.
of kills things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
That caused him to get all mutated and fucked up.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, never mind then. And at least for me anyways, I felt like Perry guy kind of looked like Ryder a little bit, but that might have just been me.
He did. I think that's more of like them trying to do like a rival kind of scenario, but it doesn't really work out because again, like they didn't really set it up.
Okay. But there's that. And the thing is, what I will say is that because regardless of like my little tiny quirks with the little story presentation, where I feel like they could have smoothed out the edges to either make it feel like, I feel like they could have either made it so like there's more than just walking, like it could even just be a cutscene or something where like like, hey, maybe instead of just walking, it's like the rider's jumping around or doing something, you know? And obviously that's a bit more intensive, so it would make the loading harder, I guess. But, like, you know, maybe either vary it up interestingly in that sense, or maybe just find some way to cut it down, because I feel like that's the main issue, because with the way that they're building it up all cinematically, it feels like they're trying to make it a grander deal than it is, and that's my main issue with it. It feels like they're taking it way more as a huge, like, big, like, whoa event thing than it really should be. And, well, I mean, like, realistically, in the scope of the world, it should be that much of an issue. It just doesn't feel like it has that weight.
It can feel pretentious.
It feels a little bit like they're trying a bit too hard sometimes. I like the cinematography on some of the shots of, like, the loading screens, but just, like, that plus all of the theming of the game, it's not even necessarily pretentious, maybe a little bit, but it feels like there's that sort of aura around it sometimes, it feels. But I will say, I feel like, as much as that is kind of a gripe I had throughout the majority of the game, I feel like the whole thing at the end where you walk out and you're still at the same walking speed, but you're corrupting everything, I think that's a really good way to play on what's been going, like, how you've been doing that the whole game. And then, once the credits are done, then you can run fast. Like, I think that's, like, a cool way of doing it thematically. I'm not sure if it was overall, like the best thing for, like, the grand scope of it, but thematically I think it's a very cool thing to do. And I think it's a very, like interesting way of, like, firsthand showing the corruption you're causing instead of just, like, stating it. Because, I mean, it was kind of obvious that, obviously, you're gonna go out there and something bad's gonna happen because of you. But I feel like it's a very interesting way of showing it. It's just that I'm not sure... I don't know, it just feels like it's this grand, epic story that they're trying to make up, and in the scope of its own universe, realistically, it should be like that, but I don't know, it's just...
But it's kinda eh.
It's just kinda eh, and I like the theming of it, and I like the whole thing that you're saying, like, the whole rehabilitation. You can see the humanity of the people, but at least for me, I feel like that's something you just kind of pick up on through fighting the bosses, because outside of...
well, I feel like that, again, that dichotomy is only picked up so well because of the loading segments that build them up. It's like a juxtaposition kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like, they could have not done it, but then it would be worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just feel like there could be some way to iron out those the little kinks that are in there. But regardless, I don't think it's like a game breaker or anything. I just, because I know we were saying, like, oh, we don't even need to mention the story. I just wanted to bring that up because it's, like, a thing that was in the back of my mind the whole time while it was happening. It's like, are they, like, how hard are they trying to make this, like, a thing? Like, it was a constant thought, so I wanted to mention it.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to do like, cool stuff. I think they were just doing it because they thought it was cool, and I'm fine with that.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, that's, again, and it could just be that too. And I mean, I will say that the shots they did, a lot of them looked really cool. I'll say that. The bunny guy's voice is really nice. He has a really nice voice.
The voice is a nice voice.
Yeah, the voice is a nice voice. On that topic, maybe it's the point, but I don't like the way the angel lady sounds, because she's, like, so devoid of any real emotion, and I feel like that's probably the point, but I don't like it. like it's just, it's kind of like, ugh. It was similar to me with the old guy, because he had the one fucking line of, like, what was it? It
is written.
Yeah, no, it's like, give up the fight. It is written. And he said it like 30 times. And it's like, dude, I get it. It's written. I get it.
I can read, okay?
Yeah. But, yeah, there's that. And, as I was saying before, music, I think, is really, really good. Yeah, I just wanted to mention the little stuff.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. Plus, hey, it helped me understand it a little bit more than I already did, so I'd say it was a productive use of time. But, you know, yeah. And I know I brought it up earlier, but I will say, for as much as I felt like the story was kind of like whatever for the most part, I will 100% say that the emotional moment with the snow girl worked really well, because up to this point you're so, like, trained on, like, this bullet hell sword axe, like, nonsense that your reflexes are constantly on edge, and you get to the last phase with her and it's, like, literally, like, you're waiting for her to do an attack so you can parry it or something, and it just never happens. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's really well done. But like,
Yeah. On top of that, if you just mash attacks, she can't dodge fast enough.
Exactly. Yeah, I eventually learned that because it's like I attacked her once. Is she gonna do anything? Can I stop? Do I have to kill her? It looks like I have to. Is she going to attack me? Yeah, is she gonna attack me? No. Let me try doing 2 attacks in a row. 3? A full combo? What if I just keep mashing? And then it's like, well, I guess I'm ending it. Like, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah. And like, also personally, I think like I really do love Sniper Lady's theme, but I think that that character's fight is my favorite theme.
Mm-hmm. I'd say she's probably a close second. Do you want to know a song? Okay. For the most part, I liked the Stars fight music. It was good for the most part.
Which one is that?
The final boss.
The big head.
Yeah, the big head. But in like the last phase of it, there's like a really loud random siren noise, and because I live in Baltimore, whenever it happened, I paused the game because I thought there was someone outside. It's like it's really fucking loud, and it's like loud. It sounds just like a siren. It comes out of nowhere. It scared me every time. And, you know, I died to that last phase, like, twice or so, because I'm bad, and at that point, I was so, like, oh my god, just have it done, and so, like, I was just, like, going through it, and so I died. It's like, okay, and so I forgot about the siren noise, so I got back to that phase, and it happened again. I'm like, god fucking damn it! It keeps getting me!
You poor man.
Yeah, that's the one part of the one song in the game that I didn't like. The rest of the soundtrack's really good. I just don't like, just take the siren noise out of the final boss's last music track.
Why don't you just move out of Baltimore instead?
I mean, I think
bada bing, bada boom.
I think it still would have startled. It would have startled me still. I just wouldn't have to look out my window.
I'd like that didn't even register as a siren to me.
I don't know. Everything else in the game, amazing soundtrack. Just take that one sound bite, take it out of the song. I'm good. Just the one sound bite. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Damn, I need to use that now.
It makes me feel it like the worst part is that it's in like the part of the song because like the final phase is like this kind of like build up like tension thing because you're getting towards the end, and in the middle of this build up there's this random like woo sound. It's like, why? Like, I don't even know why you did it because it doesn't show up anywhere else in the song. It's just once. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Oh. Sorry for harping on that point, but it really bothered me, especially since I was fighting the boss today, and, like, I want to get to the end. I know what this boss is. I fought it so many times. I know the pattern. I can do it. I can do it.
Well, if you knew the pattern, why didn't you just win?
Because I had to get through the pattern of the first 4 phases every time, and then I'd die at the last phase, so I wouldn't know the full pattern because I died there!
Okay. This is a little bit of a sidetrack, but that reminds me of one thing. What do you guys think about the phase and life system and the like healing when you parry and stuff?
The thing is, I like it, but I like it, and normally it'd be like, well, the whole thing is annoying because, like, you know, if I lose all my health, then the boss like regains all their health, and when I die, I have to do all the phases over again. But like, that's not like it's something that every other video game doesn't do. So like. I like it. I think it's good in the sense because it literally breaks it up into palpable phases that you can work towards. Mm-hmm. And I think it works really well.
Self?
Yeah? It's pretty good. Something that I found interesting is that, in my opinion, they found an okay balance between being able to, like, being able to, quote, camp a bit and, like, just focus on parrying to get health and also not getting murdered.
Okay, actually, one quick question.
Wait.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about why I really like this system.
Okay, yeah, you go.
Okay.
Okay, because, like, the thing is, because of the design of the system, basically, you have 3 lives, and then your opponent has, like, lives for each phase. You drain one, you move on to the next one, and you regain one of your lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And if you drop to no lives, you die. And then you go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with how, like, what it basically ends up being is, for one, you can never. First of all, parrying means that you can, again, like Sylvia said, you can recover from mistakes if you play defensively, and B, I think more importantly, you can never go into a phase without and just like go into it and then not know what the phase is because it's a new phase and then have it kill you. You will never be in a point in which it will just do that, because at minimum you will enter every phase with 2 lives.
Yeah, and that's really smart.
Again, yeah, because it means that no matter what, you can't have a phase just be new, and then because it's new, you don't know what's going on, you die, go to the beginning. You know?
Yeah.
It's specifically designed, and because of that, it's like they actually went into consideration on, okay, we want to make long boss fights. How do we make that not terrible?
Oh yeah, and again, the structure of this game, like boss-based structure, I love that kind of shit. I mean, I've talked about No More Heroes extensively on this podcast, so yeah, I love that structure of games, of game, I should say. I think it works really well, but yeah, it's a really smart design choice where I feel like I feel like they could have very easily screwed it up, but they didn't.
Yeah, and again, I tend to like geek out about design things, so that's like a big plus, the fact that they actually considered stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, actually, and to get back to my one question, this is a little unrelated. However, so I was in the because you have like the different parts of like the fights. So like you reduce the boss down to like the end of their health bar, and then they get to, like the little orange circle, and you go into like close quarters, like samurai combat or whatever. So okay, for the most part, I understood everything with that. And so when I was playing through the game the entire time, whenever I'd flick the right stick, he would do the little like pose. And it wasn't until I was doing hard mode that I realized I can hold it, and he begins like charging something. Yeah. What is that? What is
okay, so basically, if you manage to do that between fights, you charge it up, and then if you get hit, like even after you finish charging it, like when his armor turns red and everything, even if you get hit, then you lose the charge. But if you manage to hit the enemy in that thing beforehand, they like take massive damage and get knocked down.
Oh, okay.
So it is another
Charge
it's another like option you have of if you know how to dodge these segments in a way that you have like free time, you can charge that up and make it so that your attack is like way more devastating. So like if you like set things up and you go big brain, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, I think with the second phase or second boss and maybe fifth, it's getting a bit tough to remember, but I think that with those two especially, you can charge in between their attack. Yeah, you get me? Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't discover that until I was doing the hard mode thing, but I was just curious as to what it did, because it's like, wait a second, it's not just a little dance? Like, it does something?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, and again, it's like, it's an option, but it doesn't like handhold you and go like, oh, you can like hold this to charge up a thing and do massive the damage, It respects your intelligence. And one other thing I want to say, and this is again, I like game design, and I'm also like, because I'm going into computer science and I know stuff about computer science, this just kind of like, it's like so efficient that I love it. But there are so many things in which certain cues carry over and are just universal in the game that can act as shorthands when it comes to learning how the game works. Like when someone turns orange, they're invincible. That means that no matter what, whenever you see that, they're invincible and you won't attack. The game doesn't need to do something special in order to convey it. It's immediate.
Unless you're in which when you glow orange, you if you're attacked, you'll lose the orange thing. Come on, game. Where's the consistency?
First of all, Sylvia, die. Second of all, red, Sylvia, you turn red.
He turns orange when he charges that thing, man.
No, he don't. Delete.
The charge is orange, but he turns red.
Yeah. And then also, the bullets, like the orange bullets, you, like, in every single fight that those appear, you always know, just because of the shorthand, that they are... You can't shoot them. You have to parry them, or you have to dodge through them, or dodge around them.
To be fair, I didn't know that you could parry them, but
Yeah, and then same with the big pink shots. I'm pretty sure that's how you're supposed to do them because like they deal really good damage if you parry them back and they have homing. You know, like you always because of that, and like same with the waves always act the same. And parrying the timing, with the exception of one thing in the second phase for some reason, like specifically one attack, the like bing sound effect plus light leading into the actual attack, the time is always the same. And because of that, it's for one, it requires way less effort because the designers themselves can just create the code once for this and then copy and paste everywhere else. And it in turn, when it comes to actual gameplay, it acts as an amazing shorthand because the game doesn't need to keep reteaching you about what you can't block or whatever, or you can't do, am I being crazy?
No, I get you.
Yeah, and like that again, it sets my inner nerd off because it's like so efficient. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely make the most of what they got. In terms of gameplay, anyway.
Definitely. Well, like, I don't know. It's just such an efficient way to do things. It's like you can tell that they thought a lot about how the game was supposed to operate. It wasn't just thrown together. I'm sorry for ranting about this, but I just need to get that out.
That's fine. No, I mean it's nice hearing about it too. So like, yeah, 100%. I again, as I was saying, kind of at the beginning of us talking about it, I think that objectively it's closer to like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I just like, because of my personal taste in video games, when the game was really good with mixing the bullet and like the gun and sword gameplay, I was really, really enjoying it. But then for the other parts of the fights, the other like fights where it was mainly like bullet hell, I was just not enjoying it as much. And it's not like, because like the first thing that comes to mind is like how with the Kid Icarus Uprising episode there was the big thing with like, oh man, the ground combat sucks, the controls are bad and I don't know how to use clubs. But like there's that. But like the thing is though, it's not that like the controls on the bullet hell aren't bad. It's not like I don't know what to do. They work fine, they're responsive. I just don't like bullet hell stuff that much. So it's not the game's fault as much as it is my genre preference fault. So, like, I can't say that the game did something wrong by being a bullet hell just because I don't like bullet hells, because there's plenty of people that do. So there's nothing wrong with it being the way it is for as many fights as it is, even if I don't personally like it, because I can acknowledge the fact that, like, actually, objectively, and as a game that other people like, bullet hell-wise, it works really well in that sense. I can't say it doesn't work, because it does. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's why I give it, like, the rating that I do, even though I can acknowledge that it's a better game than what I can appreciate it for in terms of its genre. So it's one of those things where I can totally get why this is one of your, like, tippy top things, and it's there's a lot of it that I love, but there's a lot of it that I don't,
we can see
I
the quality, we just don't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Well, an eye for an eye makes the world blind, so I'm gonna have to get you. But yeah.
But yeah, we definitely, I think that for us, we definitely get that there's, like, there is a lot of systems, a lot of, like, gamer lore to this game.
Fuck, you take it from me! You can't do that. That's my joke. You can't hijack.
I finally got my revenge.
Man,
you didn't even get it on me.
This is a totally not epic moment in gamer lore.
Oh my god.
Write this down in the history books, boy.
Man, we have the Trinity. Austin can get me with Shuichi. I can get Sylvia with
everything.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. And then Sylvia can get Austin with
by taking my jokes. By taking my jokes before I can reestablish them later, like a cleverman. Because she ruins the surprise.
Don't you understand balance and everything?
Are you saying that wasn't surprising? Were you expecting it this whole time?
Well, no, you ruined the surprise of me doing it. Because I care about me like a selfish man.
Yeah, not selfish.
Yeah.
What am I doing with my life? Just generally.
But, I like... Okay, I think we need to start wrapping up.
Yeah, I feel like we're at that point. We're
so,
yeah, we've talked about most stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, the one thing, because I know I went through like all of the fights. What are your guys' favorite fights? Because I kind of just skimmed through them.
Night Boy.
Oh, yours is both Sniper Lady?
No, she said Night
Boy.
Man. I like Sniper.
Oh, Nightman.
Night Boy.
Huh. To be honest, I've had a lot of time struggling because it's like really hard to choose. I love all of them.
For me,
I mean, like, I don't know. I like Night Guy. I like Angel Lady. I like fucking, I don't know. You know, I'm just gonna say Angel Lady because it's different, but I really do like all of them. I can't decide.
I will
favorite.
say with Angel Lady, the things I like a little. I like the dive bomb thing. I think that's a super cool like parry moment. That's super fun. But then like in terms of atmosphere, I love like the start of the fight where you have to activate it by like ignoring her and walking away.
Yeah.
And I also love if she manages to take you out for a phase instead of like, you know, doing what some of the other characters do. It's like, oh, time to finish you off, and then you wake up and stop it. She's just like gently carrying you away.
Yeah.
Like a little baby. And then you're like, no, sorry, lady, that cradle's not for me. And then you start slashing her again.
I am an adult. I am at the very least a teenage gamer. Get your filthy hands away from me.
Get your clean hands away from my gamer filth. You'll clean me up. It'll be like Bubble Buddy washing off the dirt.
Just like my favorite arcade game. Vintage arcade game.
Torso.
Bobble.
Alright. Well, yeah.
For me, it's Night Boy because I like how it establishes very early that you can't use projectiles, so it's a game of like when you can use them and when you can't.
Also because he's a big guy with armor and weaponry.
Shut the hell up.
It's
And
true,
he's
though.
blue, and he's blue.
He is blue.
He's blue and green, okay?
But majoritively blue.
Yeah.
You said it was a triangle, you liar.
You've been gamered again.
Yeah.
Oh, man! Man, this moment was totally not epic.
Yeah.
We've been gamered again, folks.
So,
So,
final thoughts, or have we pretty much gone over
I
everything?
mean, I've gone over everything. Again, I like the game, definitely an above average thing. I think it's a better game than I enjoy it for. So I'm giving it a 6, but I think objectively it's closer to a 7 or 8. For me, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the games I've given 7 or 8s. So, since I want to remain consistent, I'm giving it the next step down, which is a 6, because it's definitely more than a 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sylvia?
I think that I've gone over most that I want to say, and I want to stick with a 7 out of 10 score.
Alright. I'm still sticking with my 8. I still love this game.
Yeah.
I respect that you disagree, but also time to die. No, but
I can recognize why you like it. Please don't castrate me.
nah, I gotta get Dream first for many things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, don't worry. I understand that feeling.
Hey, we made a pinky promise,
Yeah, we did.
and
make
so
a pinky
you know,
promise.
castration was the fee.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. If that's it, then I guess Sylvia.
Hey.
What's the next game?
Hey Sylvia, what are you gonna add to our gamer lore?
Yeah, add to the gamer
Which
lore.
was
the
what I was
chronology.
planning on doing, by the way, as my joke.
Wow, so funny and original. Who else has ever said that joke? Hardy har har.
So, I think that, so this is going to be a new experience for all of us, I believe. The game is a fun little indie game called Darkwood.
Darkwood! Oh, I wanted to suggest that as a Halloween episode, but then, you know,
Well, sorry
we
to
never
fuck
got
up.
that far.
I sure have no idea what that is.
And you're
Have
going to
fun.
find out, and I hope that you like it.
Okay. If it's a horror game, I'm
It's a-
also not gonna like the genre, most likely.
Sorry in advance, buddy.
Oh no!
Oh man, I've really been wanting an excuse to play this game, oh boy.
Oh man! Here we go. We're getting to that phase where Austin gets to play the games he doesn't like playing that much.
You gotta
Man.
though, you gotta.
I don't know what this
truly
one
is
is.
a sad day to add to the gamer lore.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh well,
I at least liked Furi. I liked it. I don't know. It's gonna be real hard for me to like a. Okay, is it like a jump scary horror game or is it more of a psychological horror?
No,
It
it's
is a
very specifically
psychological
not
horror
jump
game.
scare. It's all about atmosphere.
Okay, well then I might actually like it because I might like it.
I've been meaning to get this off my list for a long time, so
Same.
found the perfect opportunity to do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm very much looking forward to how you two gentlemen enjoy it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Ghosts are kind of scary. Oh man, what am I gonna do? Oh man, the wood's darker than normal. That means it's like cursed or burned, right? Maybe charred a little. Oh man.
It's almost like the woods are dark.
Oh man, it's dark like nighttime, so my eyes can't see. Oh man. I hope we have a really dimly lit flashlight whose batteries are running low.
You've done it. You've summarized the game. I'm
Oh
kidding.
man, how could I guess it?
I've not played much of it.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I guess you can be excited for that.
Anything else to add to the gamer lore before we go?
No, I need to sleep.
Oh.
Get ready for torsos coming sometime in the next future.
Featuring Travis Touchdown
yeah.
and Matador and Gongli.
Kong.
Gongli Kong. That's the Nintendo representative, despite it being a Nintendo game.
Of course.
Yeah, it's Nintendo President Gongli Kong, of course.
Yeah. Doug Bowser.
No.
Who? Doug Bowser. I think you mean Gongli.
It's from Bowser?
It's from Bowser's. So,
Alright.
Anyway, to finish this off. So, Kaito. I'm trying to solve the case, but I'm dummy thick, and the clap of my ass cheeks keeps alerting the exosomes.